Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are running late by maybe 15 minutes, so possible. Thank you. For the training workshop and members of the core committee of Exim Integrated Club, we present to you respective fields. Before we begin this training, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our eminent speakers, Mr. Shashi Kallada, a popular HAZMAT guru, and Mr. Jeffrin Rodrigues, a DG professional representative in shipping fraternity, to give us an insight on Exim Integrated Club. Mr. Nimesh ji. Just to introduce Mr. Nimesh ji, Nimesh ji is a third generation custom broker since 1981, now also into freight forwarding and logistics. Nimesh ji is a managing director.
The Exim Integrated Club. It's one of the most unique institution, something born out of companies as their membership. EIC is a unique concept. EIC, I say why it's a unique forum. It has got all entrepreneurs, owners, as well as the industry-related issue, the concept, the original idea of forming EIC was to promote Exim trade, ensure education to our members, professionals. Going forward, EIC even got into various social services. During COVID, we did wonderful job. Doing in Nhava Sheva, during floods elsewhere in Maharashtra, we did wonderful job in helping the people. And I wish the two people who have really made it possible, I congratulate them for such a wonderful arrangement, from minute detailing to inviting guests, planning everything. It's excellent, I can say. So without wasting any further time, I would invite the invitees and the experts to speak on this.
Mr. Nimesh Bhai ka speech, after hearing his speech, I remember Mr. Anand quoting me 2 years back. It was like, it's a shairi by Majroon Sultanpuri, okay? It's like, मैं अकेला ही चला था जानी बे मंजिल मगर, मैं अकेला ही चला था जानी बे मंजिल मगर, लोग साथ आते गए और कारवा बनता गया. So now EIC has become very big with a lot of branches, okay? So thank you, Mr. Anand, for promoting it. Thank you. Amaya Logistics. Mr. Rodrigues is currently associated with Caterpillar Cargo Solutions in the capacity of a vice president with a master's degree in business administration, specializing in international business. He has been instrumental in starting the dangerous goods desk in NYK line with an impeccable record of 0 errors in the DG desk. With a very strong interest in soccer. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Firstly, good afternoon, everyone. I know it's a very boring topic to talk about dangerous goods, but I'll try my best to make it as interesting as possible so that at least I can avoid you all sleeping. Okay, like you can see on the slide out here, you can see all the stickers. So these basically are all the placards, or I would say information to someone who's standing outside a container to know what is really inside. It's like when you go to a zoo, you see the board called tiger. So you know it's a tiger inside. Now you don't try to play around with it. So yeah, respond to the necessary cargo in terms of documentation. Like you can see out here, these are different accidents that have happened. This is at a CFS in Mumbai. This is Merck's Hanam on 6th of March, and this is SSL Shreyas. With regards to misdeclaration and a very callous approach. Something similar that happened in Beirut also. I'll just see a short video. I'm sure it'll bring back memories of what you've seen in WhatsApp and on social media. This is what happened to Beirut by cargo, which is class 5.1 for a period of more than 12 or 13 years in the port. And at one point, they even forgot that that cargo was lying there. So as you can see here, this is what Beirut port was prior to the blast as of 4th August 2020, which is about 26 months from today. And this is what happened after that. The life of more than 200 people. Why is it called dangerous? So it's basically something that where a particular commodity or a substance or an article which poses a threat to risk in life, property, or marine life or environment, and it features there due to its chemical or physical properties. So everything has its own nature and its own environment that it is comfortable in. So like own properties. While you see out here, we can see that there are 9 classes, and if they follow in those categories as we go ahead, you'll notice that these are dangerous. So why is it necessary to have a DG declaration? I mean, most of us, I think, must have seen a DG declaration. Why is it necessary? It's basically an information, or like, when you go to a college and you must have seen the videos, I mean, whoever seen it, it's written outside, the cheetah is inside, or live animal. So no one will try to open it. So the same way, this basically will give an idea, and most importantly, this is supposed to be filled by only the shipper, consigner, exporter, or the manufacturer. So do it. But how will you do it when you don't know what it is? So, I mean, as far as possible, try to pass this information out to your customer also, that I can only help you transport it. I am not your maker of the cargo. So basically, as logistic providers, we normally, in the sea side, on the land side, we deal with cargo transport units, which are basically nothing but containers, majority of times. So you normally have even CBTs, basically your closed body trucks that transport cargoes. So we are basically all dealing with this section of the business. So what this declaration does, it gives you So this is what a declaration normally looks like. I mean, each one has their own. You have the IMO declaration and each carriers pattern. But by and large, it's basically an information. Each one has their own format. They only want the information of what is inside or transiting in the passage of the cargo. Like you can see on top, I don't know if anyone from behind can see, it's written out here, shipper's declaration. So ideally, only a shipper should be filling up that. Doesn't mean you have a shipper's sign and stamp. No? For example, if the cargo is 5.1 and you fill up class 3, and then he signs over there, forwarder ne bhara, he'll take responsibility. But end of the day, even the shipping line is going to catch not the forwarder, he'll catch the exporter or the manufacturer who's actually liable for it. Now we are studying about, basically going through with regards to what is IMO, what is dangerous goods. We normally follow something called as the IMDG code. Everyone refers to that, or at least we should be referring to that. So this is basically the amendment cycle. The IMDG code goes through amendments every now and then. Basically, it's like, like your iPhone. You have an iOS update. Kuch nikla, to it gets updated. So you have the latest. That's how these amendments have taken place. And basically, these amendments have come out of experience. No? It's like you're driving, you learn driving. And then okay, I not to drive on this side, or I need to take these necessary action on certain parts of the road. Traffic aaya, so I need to slow down. Those are basically your actions that you take place as you learn the thing. So same way with IMDG also. They've also learned over experience and accidents that have taken place in the past. So they've also improved, and that's how laws come in, that's how shipping lines come with their own notifications or customer advisories. We need to upgrade ourselves accordingly. So when we stand out here, we can see where we really are. So we are in 2022. So in what happens, this thing, if you want to understand this, right now we are using the amendment 4020, right? So in the easiest way to remember is the even years, like years ending in 2, 4, 8, 6. These are years where the particular IMDG code is compulsory that you have to refer only that code, that amendment. If you try to refer the old one, okay, for knowledge is fine, but then it's almost a secret, like a recipe for accident, no? So you try not to refer the old ones. Like just if you go for an exam, you take the latest syllabus and sit for the exam, no? If you're going to take 5 years back and then sit and you expect to get a topping out of it, then I mean, I'm not sure how you go through that. So same way out here. So right now we are in 22, and we have the 4020 which is in force. Come 1st of January, we'll have 2 amendments. That is 4020 as well as 4122 for reference purpose. So basically what the IMO tells you is that you're allowed or you're permitted to use both. But I mean, as a thumb rule, which I have been using is I normally start using the new code. So it becomes easier for me by the time the code actually comes in effect, like the compulsory or the mandate area. It's like within me to know where to move around it or what has to be done. That's what I normally use. One second. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Now once you open the IMDG code, move around, then only can I, access the right information, get my right answers. It's like when you sit for the exam. I'm not sure if anybody has used the guide in school for your exams. So you have like a certain question, you know where to go because of the index. So for that, you need to have knowledge. So this basically, for the next couple of slides, we'll try to understand how do I maneuver myself, if I'm in a particular place, the safe packing rules for it, correct marking and labeling, handling requirements, and necessary safety information to deal with hazards like we've seen in the previous slides in case of an emergency incident. So we'll go topic-wise. So that is basically Volume 1, Part 1. Over there you'll see, in this entire list, you'll probably see Part 3 missing. But Part 3 cannot be missing because that is the entire list. Okay. So Part 1 is basically we have general provisions and definitions, training requirements as per SOLAS and MARPOL. Then the definitions, the unit of measurements over there, abbreviations that are used for transport of dangerous goods. So basically we have 9 classes. We have explosives that is basically divided into 6 subdivisions with 4 labels that are there. We have the gases, which is divided into 3 subdivisions. Flammable liquids with further assignments with terms of the packing groups. So previously there was 3.1, 3.2 and 3.3. That basically moved into the packing groups later on. In terms, I think it's in the amendment code in the past, the amendment that took place. So along the way, they changed and they improvised. Then we have class 4, that is flammable solids, divided into 3. We have class 5, divided into 2. We have class 6, again into 2 divisions. Then we have class 7, which is radioactive materials. Class 8, corrosive substances. And class 9, which are miscellaneous, which didn't feature in the top 8. So then we come to Volume 1, Part 4. We'll be touching on 3 in the next slide. So this basically looks after the packing and the tank provisions with regards to IBC and large packaging. So you must have seen certain IBC tanks or small, which carry about 1 ton. They cover under this chapter. Then we come to Volume 1, Part 5. That's here, basically consignment procedures. So what is then this consignment procedures is marking, labeling of packages like you see in the stickers. Then the placarding and marking for cargo transport units, documentation and any other special provisions. Then description of the new placards and labels are also provided out there. We come to Volume 1, Part 6. And that is basically construction and testing packaging. Then intermediate bulk and containers or IBCs and large packaging. Then portable tanks like your SOC tanks and road tank vehicles. Like if you look at this petroleum tanks that are there, they all come into those categories. Then you come into volume 1, part 7. This basically is looking after provisions concerning transport operations. So over here you will have stowage, segregation, special emergency provisions. This is what the current IMDG volume 1 and volume 2 looks like. So if you don't have it in the office and you're handling, then I suggest you get this first before you start handling cargo. So like I said, volume 2, part 3. Part 3 is not far away. So that's basically the dangerous goods list, and it has the limited quantities exceptions. So out here we have, you must have seen the dangerous list, basically the DG list. It contains this following information. It has the UN number, the proper shipping name. Then we have the class and subdivisions. We have subsidiary risk, packing group, special provisions, the limited quantities, packing instructions, packing provisions, and proper shipping names. So you must have seen certain proper shipping names as the name and NOS, of flammable liquids, NOS. So you need to refer to the exact list, as in NOS, what does it really mean? So it gives you the exact technical name or the reference to which you need to attack it onto. Then we come to volume 2, appendix B. This is basically the glossary of all the terms mentioned. And volume 2 ends with the index of the proper shipping names of the dangerous goods, the marine pollutant, class, and UN number. Okay. Now this basically has the EMS or the emergency procedures, the medical first guide, which you must have seen in certain declarations asking for the MFAG number. That's the medical first aid guide. So it's basically for the crew to action any sort of a challenge that they face at. Then we have the other part that which is basically the reporting procedures, the guidelines for packing, cargo transport units, then safe use of pesticides in ships, international code for the safe carriage of packaged irradiated nuclear fuel, plutonium, and high-level radioactive waste on board under the INF code. And at the end of it, we have the appendix, which has the resolutions and circulars referred to the IMDG code and its supplement. So this is class 1, explosives. So this has basically 6 subdivisions, like I mentioned earlier. So 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, and 1.6. So 1.1 is basically an article that has mass explosion hazard, something that has a projection hazard but not a mass explosion hazard. Then we have the 1.3, which is a fire hazard but has a very minor blast. 3 is non-flammable, non-toxic. And 2.2 is non-flammable, non-toxic, and 2.3 is toxic gases. Okay, so if someone were to ask me among the 3 which one I would fear the most, I would say 2.3. Because firstly, it's gas, you can't see it. Secondly, it's poisonous. So out here you can see a gas which is at 50 degrees, has a vapor pressure of 300 kilopascals. And kilopascal is a unit of pressure, which is basically 1000 units of pressure and stress on a meter of kilogram. Okay, so this is basically a international system of units. It is just a small trivia on it. It was named after the French mathematician physicist Blaise Pascal, hence Pascal. Okay, so he was in the 16th century. This is a cargo, I mean, many of us must have seen in our career at least in that form of declaration on MSDS. So, like the name suggests, flammable, right? So it's a flammable liquids are nothing but liquids which are mixtures or liquids containing solids under suspension. And they give off a flammable vapor. Vapor is basically like when you're cooking, you have that smell that comes out, the vapor that comes. The same happens with chemicals also. So it gives out a vapor which is at 60 degrees in a closed cup test, normally referred to as flash point. So everyone must have seen flash point. So you see class 3, you need to have a flash point there. You can't say ki bhai nahi hai. There is no special status in that terms over there. Okay. Then these are basically desensitized explosives. which are dissolved or suspended in water or any other liquid substance in water or other liquid substances to form a homogeneous. Homogeneous is basically a similar or alike, where it can blend together. Hence, you can't put it in an opposition thing. You have to have someone together. Like, you keep a batsman with a batsman. You can't give a batsman the ball and say, "Ja, kill." So that's how we do it. And the UN numbers basically that are there basically are 1204, 2059, 3064, 3343, 3357, and 3379. And basically liable to sponsor, they can emit flammable gases. Also, they are as good as, explosives, but under a different condition. And they for sure can cause fire. They are put into 3 categories out here, divisions, which is 4.1, that is flammable solids. This is a sticker for it. 4.2, which is substances liable to spontaneous combustion. That's here. This is a sticker that you'll use for it. And 4.3, substances which in contact with water emit flammable gases. Flammable means ye aag pakdega. Okay, so you have 2 stickers, but any one can be used. Class 5. This is oxidizing substances and organic peroxides. So this is divided into 2 divisions, that is 5.1, that is oxidizing substances. This is basically substances which need not necessarily be combustible, but generally they will yield oxygen. They can be combustible or have combustion material along with it. So such articles will fall under 5.1. So one such example, a rather famous example is 5.1 would be ammonium nitrate, which was the Beirut blast issue. Okay. Then we have 5.2, which are organic peroxides. So organic peroxides are substances which are thermally unstable substance. They undergo exothermic self-accelerating decomposition. In addition to this, they may have one or more properties, like listed out here. They are liable to explosive decomposition. They can burn rapidly. They will be sensitive to impact of friction. Like, let me get you an example on this one. They can react dangerously with other substances, and they will cause damage to eyes. Class 6, toxic and infectious substances. This is again into 2 divisions. You can see 4 stickers out here. So the below 3 are all 6.1. The below 3 stickers, and the one above is for 6.2. So 6.1 being toxic is very easily in a position to cause death or serious injury to swallowed, inhaled, or now infectious substances. If you pass outside a hospital or a pathology lab, it's filled with 6.2. So that's when you see when they are emptying all the biohazards out, the used gauzes, syringes, blood samples, everything, they all go in a separate bag. It's a yellow bag that is kept outside. It's clearly marked. So, when anyone is smoking out there, please don't try to, be very close to that also. Right? So, under this, we have basically things like bacteria, viruses, parasites, fungi. Just a short note on the above 6.1, 6.2. So toxic is the same meaning as poisonous. So it's poison or toxic, 6.1. Very clear. Okay. Then genetically modified microorganisms, as well as which, the organisms that do not meet the definition of infectious substances of 6.2. So they have a classification under class 9. And the UN number that is assigned is 3245. So this is the exception to 6.2. This is the one thing that is there. Okay. Then we have toxins from plant, animal, and bacteria. Okay. These actually do not really contain there are substances that which are contained under non-infectious substances and shall be classified under 6.1, and they are assigned a UN number of 3172. So these are the 2 detours or bypasses given for this particular class. Outside. Okay. Now, what happens in this is, these are basically material that is containing radionuclides, where both activity concentration and the total activity in the consignment may exceed the special values as listed out here in the IMDG code. Okay. Class 7 is basically, this is a special note, the type of packaging may have a decisive effect on its classification. So radioactive in terms of uranium, plutonium, cobalt. Cobalt 60 is one thing that gets exported very often from India. So those are the cargoes that fall out here. The corrosive substances. These are basically, for an example, if I have to give you, it would be hydrochloric acid. Is one very easy and off the rack example that can come out to the mind. These are basically chemicals that could cause irreversible damage to your skin or to whatever part it falls on, whether it's metal or whatever. That's you can see the sticker. It can cause damage to hand. It can cause damage to the material as well. Hence, is known as corrosive. Okay. Now, this class basically is class 9. So I would like to call it. I mean, I'm sure everyone has traveled in the train out of Mumbai. You have the general dabba. So this is like the general dabba of the entire IMDG classes, which didn't make it. कि भाई वो 80 KT लेके पहुंच गया इसमें, ठीक है? So this is basically substances that are during transport they present a danger, which are not covered by the above classes, which are 8 classes which are there. So now, if you want to know what comes under this, how does something be classified as a class 9? So what you look out for, substances that are on inhalation, as fine dust may cause danger to health. Then which can evolve a flammable vapor. Lithium batteries, I mean you have mobiles, you have class 9 now. Capacitors, then life-saving appliances, any sort of articles that may cause fire in terms of dioxins. Sorry. Then we have the cargoes that are transported at elevated temperatures. So you have certain commodities that need to be kept at a certain temperature. Not everything is in a reefer and lower, no? So there are certain things that need to be served. Like you go to a restaurant, you're served hot, no? Or you go to a Starbucks and you ask him, he'll ask you want a hot coffee or a cold coffee. So you say hot. So he serves you and it's mentioned out there. The ingredients inside contains hot. So something of that sort, okay? Then you have environmentally hazardous substances, which is basically the marine pollutant stickers. They will be out here. Then genetically modified microorganisms. We've seen in the previous slide, right? In 6.2. Those are here. Genetically modified microorganisms and modified organisms. GMOs and GMOs. Then ammonium nitrate based fertilizers, not ammonium nitrate. Okay. Then other substances and articles presenting a danger during transport and not meeting the definition of another class. Another example would be your seat belts. That also falls under this, under transportation, if it's in a big, consignment. I hope you all don't get scared when you sit in your cars now. Okay. Now, this is a small rundown. As we can see out here, the class 1 would be explosive. An example would be fireworks, ammunition. Then 2.1 would be flammable gases. An example would be acetylene or hydrogen LPG. 2.2, non-flammable, non-toxic, nitrogen, carbon dioxide. Then 2.3, toxic gases, chlorine, ammonia. Class 3, flammable liquids like ethanol, methanol, hexane. 4.1, it will be flammable solids, sulfur, as an example. We have 4.2, which is spontaneously combustible. That is white phosphorus, activated carbon. Then 4.3 is dangerous when wet because it emits flammable gases. That is sodium metal, calcium carbide. Then 5.1, oxidizing substances, sodium peroxide, calcium hypochlorite, and ammonium nitrate like discussed before. Then 5.2, organic peroxides, methyl, ethyl, ketone, peroxide. These are not different chemicals, it is one. Okay? He is truly Indian. Huh? 6.1, toxic substances, sodium cyanide. You must have seen certain James Bond movies when the guy is caught, cyanide खा के मर जाता है. ठीक है. 6.2 infectious substances, clinical or medical waste. Class 7 radioactive substances. Uranium is one example. Plutonium or cobalt. Then class 8 corrosive substances, hydrochloric acid, and class 9 miscellaneous would be seat belts, hydraulic articles. In IMDG code across the world, this is universal. There cannot be in a different color anywhere. ऐसा नहीं कि मतलब आज पर को पसंद नहीं तो 1.1 will be some other color. नहीं होगा. ठीक है. And like I said, marine pollutant, that's here. Then you have biohazard. Now you'll ask, like these are not HAZ codes, right? So these are basically packing an aid to pack. So you have this is the this way up, you know. So probably if you're transporting chemicals in bottles in a overpack of box. Now what does the loader know? Ki which side is up there, or the one discharging out there. So you normally put that sticker. I mean, you put as much as possible. You inform, right? Be aware. Be aware. Like we written out here, no smoking. Still someone smokes, we can't stop him. But then it's written. Then we have elevated temperature. Like I said, no, cargoes have to be transported in a certain temperature in order to keep its necessary quality at the other end, as required by the consignee. Then we have fumigation. This basically like a information ki bhai, it's fumigated. Be careful while you enter or do not enter. Or enter under supervision, or wear necessary protective gear and enter inside. These are limited quantities and accepted quantities. So these basically have a special, like you say, like the jugada. This is that. But you have to again follow the rules. It's a legal way, but you can come out. It's like in jail terms. This is like a parole. Okay. This is an overpack. These are basically packing help. So overpack is normally used in air as well as in sea. It's basically now imagine if I'm having a box filled with maybe say 100 mobiles. Okay, like a 1-ton box with 100 mobiles. Now I won't leave the mobiles empty inside. So there'll be boxes. So that box I can't carry like 100 mobiles ka box and keep stuffing. No, kab stuff hoga. Kabhi niklega nahi aisa. So we have overpacks. So we like one box carrying 100 mobiles goes in. That's an overpack. So normally you put your stickers and instruction on the overpack and not inside. These placards are meant to be seen. These are not to be hidden. Okay? And the warning sign that is necessary. And this is basically in air. I know if whoever done air, it's also in sea, but these are basically instruction whether you can stack on top of it or do not stack on top of it. It's basically telling you the strength of the package. Okay? Like for example, if Shrikant stands, so can someone stand on him? No, right? So he's non-stackable. A little elevated danger, like no. And that's denoted by Y. And packing group 1, which is the most stringent of all and indicates maximum danger. That will always be denoted by X. So I thought like, how can one try to understand this and still remember it? Like, next time you probably see me like, Arey, you told me this thing. So if I were to transport animals, okay, now let's take one family of the animals, cat family. It'll be easy for us all to remember ki grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Like no, Z, Y, and X. So in Z, who will I transport? Who's this? Okay, a cat. Or let's say a wild cat, for example. So you normally, if you see like outside veterinaries, someone is taking their pet cat or those Persian cats, and all, they normally keep them in a plastic cage. So you know that he'll be there only. So you know the package of it, right? Then we come to Y. This is basically a leopard. So leopard I will not keep in a plastic, na? I will definitely keep him in something like an aluminum or a little more stronger cage or a enclosure. If I don't understand that, then I'm asking for trouble. And the got room for upgrade. He goes into a HAZ thing. Assume that HAZ is a 5-star hotel. So the person sitting out there says, sir, please, you can get upgraded to a Y category. So he's happy, like, chalo, from Z I can go to Y. Although it's a cost for that package. And he can also get upgraded to the X, which maximum security. The top section is for all liquid cargoes, the format. The below one is for combination packaging. Like I said, 100 mobiles in one package. That is here. And for single packing for solids. Okay, so like powders, anything that is non-liquid will fit in the lower section. Now, we have to go through the entire thing. So if I have to look, it is basically divided into 6 parts, right? This is 6 parts out here. So the first one would be the packaging identification code. That has 3 parts, right? So the first one is the package type. Like I'll say, box. I want to take this cargo in a box. So box is your first point over here. Material is H, right here. So H means it will tell you that, okay, steel box, or maybe a cardboard box, or a wooden crate. So wooden is your material. Crate is your package, right? And finally, category. Category 1 and 2, like removable heads, non-removable heads. That what fits out here into this category. Now, when you come to the next part, you will see packaging group level equivalent, right? So this has 2 sections, which is basically packing group. We've seen X and Y in the previous slide. So this means what? I will keep a tiger in this, and only a tiger. I mean, I can elevate, that's good to promote, but no less than a tiger will be here, right? And a tiger doesn't come here because it's Y, right? Now, 1.2 is a specific gravity. Every liquid has a gravity. Like mercury has 1, water has 1, fuel has 1. There's a gravity for each thing. So that's why this, like if I'm stuffing a tank, there's a particular level at what I'll do it. That level basic is from where? It's only from the gravity point. So we'll see if it crosses this level, I cannot load more than this. If it crosses less than that, I'm still safe to continue loading. So that's what specific gravity is for. And here is for maximum gross mass. So it says 250. That means at the most 250 kilos in that package. 251 karega, it may not break, but no guarantee, no. कि मतलब कहाँ तक चलेगा, मतलब बोलते हैं ना कि चला तो चांद तक नहीं तो फिर शाम तक, that way. So it's better not to cross these levels. It's like कायदे में रहो वैसा. Then the S is for solid or inner packaging, and this is hydrostatic pressure. This is the pressure used in terms of the testing of the package. Now here you'll see 14. Okay, the 14 basically denotes the year of manufacture. So right now we are sitting in 22. I can put 22 there if I manufacture a particular package, right? So that's what will come here. It cannot be 23 because we are in October. So how can it be 23? So you need to know anything backwards is fine, but not too back also, because in packages of age, we also get old here. And after that is USA, location of manufacture. So basically this is whichever country. So you will probably have, if it's India, you'll have IND. If it's say China, it'll be CHN. That'll come here. And the last one is the manufacturer's code. This need not be debatable from our side as logistic providers. Okay, this is only between the manufacturer and the buyer. It's for their commercial part of it. So we'll probably link it somewhere, right? Now, this is a segregation table. So anyone who's doing a customer or single customer who has multiple HAZ cargoes in a single container, what do? You refer to this table. Anyone who's doing console boxes, probably 5 customers HAZ cargo and another 2 non-HAZ cargos. Segregation table basically advises you whether I'm compatible. I mean, I'm chemical A and this is chemical B. Whether I'm compatible to sit in the same compartment or in the same container with the person. So if I were to give an example, sorry, please don't quote me on this. In political terms, I can't keep a Narendra Modi with a Imran Khan or a Nawaz Sharif. No? It'll just cause unnecessary arguments. So it's basically to avoid, it's basically to keep, stay in peace. Follow this and cargo stays in peace, right? So if you can see out here, you'll see a lot of blues. The blue and X is basically safe to load together. But still, you need to refer to the necessary special provisions. Like there are certain cargoes that may still not have the option of, after being compatible, still can't stay together. No? right? And I'm open to any questions, if at all. I have not made you all sleep. Okay. Later? Okay. ठीक है. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffrin. It was too elaborate and too detailed knowledge. Thanks a lot. Uh, I would like to call upon stage Mr. Shashi Kallada. Yeah, Mr. Shashi Kallada, round applause for Mr. Shashi. Mr. Shashi started his career in merchant ships and sailed for more than a decade, leaving the sea in 2003. He joined P&O Nedloyd as a specialist in dangerous goods and later worked with Maersk Line as manager, Global Dangerous Goods. He was responsible for more than 500 plus ships carrying DG cargo belonging to Maersk Line, MCC Transport, Mercosur Line, and SAF Marine. Mr. Shashi left Maersk Line in October 2010, and since then he has been conducting training seminars and providing consultancy in dangerous goods by rail, road, river, and sea. So I request Mr. Shashi to give his training on the same. Thank you, sir.
How I should hold the mic. Okay, thank you. Just one moment. Let me clean my specs. How many of you use these type of wet wipes? Most of you must be using, especially after COVID. Is this dangerous goods or not? This one is dangerous goods. What I'm holding is not, because it is water-based, but the alcohol-based can be dangerous goods depending on the content of alcohol in it. Then it will be transported as class 4.1. The proper shipping name will be solids containing flammable liquid. Now that is one thing. I keep carrying dangerous goods. My suitcase is the dirty laundry there. Cigarettes, are these dangerous goods? Yes, no. Cigarettes are not dangerous goods, but if you extract the nicotine from the tobacco and transport the nicotine, then it is dangerous goods. Now the other dangerous goods. Cigarette lighters, are they dangerous goods? Gas or liquid? IMDG code has only one entry for lighters filled with gas, but the lighters with liquid, that Zippo lighters, IMDG code does not have an entry, so we'll have to use a NOS entry. But in 49 CFR, that is the United States regulation, there is an entry for lighters filled with liquid also. Now the next dangerous goods. Vape, that smoking vapes, you all know that? You all mean, some of you must be knowing. Is this dangerous goods? Which class? Why should somebody say class 9? Why it should be class 9? Lithium battery. Same like that mobile phone? Yeah, you see, this vape, it contains two things. One is that vaping equipment, which contains that lithium-ion battery, and it got a nicotine liquid cartridge, which you put inside and you can vape. I could demonstrate, but it's written no smoking, so I cannot demonstrate that. I'll be violating the law. Now, this, I'm getting tempted to demonstrate. Anyway, this one, it contains a lithium-ion battery, which is a rechargeable battery. but it is not. So even though it is lithium battery, it is not class 9, but it falls under special provision 188. Shipper's declaration is not required, but package must be marked with the lithium ion battery mark. If anyone has any one of you have ordered any electronic equipment like mobile phone, tablets, iPads, etc. from Amazon, when that package comes, you'll see a lithium ion battery marking. That is the lithium ion battery marking for those lithium ion battery which falls not class 9 but falls under special provision 188. Now, I don't know what else I'm having in my pocket. Okay, let me remove my shoes. Is this dangerous goods? Leather shoe. That's why I wanted a chair. Dangerous, non-dangerous. You know, in the shoe, who are wearing like this leather shoes, this part is the toe. There is something called toe board for toughening that. That is a small piece of material which toughens that toe part. If you are transporting only that toe boards, then it is class 4.1 flammable solids. And wax shoe polish, that most popular brand, Kiwi, is that dangerous goods? Which class? See, my idea is within 2.5 hours to make you all understand everything is dangerous goods. That is my agenda. Shoe polish is flammable solid. That is flammable solid organic NOS. Okay, how many of you use vinegar at your home? For what purpose? Yeah, whatever, salad dressings, etc. Let me tie my shoelace. Is vinegar dangerous goods? Again, depending on the concentration. If the concentration of the acetic acid is more than 8%, then it becomes dangerous goods of class 8. You must be having bleaching powder in your home for cleaning the bathroom floor. And you must be having that Harpic like liquid. Never mix bleaching powder and Harpic together while cleaning the bathroom. It may be the last cleaning, then somebody else will have to come and clean you away. Because if you mix that Harpic and all those things contains acid, and if you mix bleaching powder with that acid, the chemical, it will not explode or something because it both are weak chemicals for the commercial use, not commercial use, household use, but it still generates toxic gases, that is chlorine. Chlorine is highly toxic, so if the bathroom is not properly ventilated, air exchange is not there, that enough chlorine will generate to cause death. Camphor, many of you must be using at home for religious purpose and as an insect repellent. Camphor is also flammable solid. In our house itself, there are so many dangerous goods. Jeffrin, thank you that you have made my life easier. You explained so many classes. So anyway, let us start. Agenda and all I'm skipping. Jeffrin, you showed about various accidents. The latest major one is the Lebanon one, which was confiscated cargo. And surprisingly, actually not surprisingly, when that Lebanese incident happened, immediately everybody in India woke up to take a stock of ammonium nitrate. Then they realized that 800 tons is lying for last 4 years in Visakhapatnam, 600 tons last 8 years in Chennai, and this many tons in Kandla, etc. And we have to do something. And within 1 week, they said that we have auctioned it off. Now, do you really believe that 8 years old, 6 years old ammonium nitrate, which they could not auction, they could auction in 1 week? Okay. 2010 January or February, there was a chlorine leak in Mumbai port, which affected the LBS Nautical, Lal Bahadur Shastri Nautical College hostel has to be evacuated, etc. Those cylinders were lying there for 13 years. And one fine morning, early morning, it leaked. So abandoned cargo is another issue. Now you see customs duty is only for collecting custom tariff. When customs sees a cargo, the port or the container freight station, wherever it is lying, they must take initiative to get that cargo out wherever custom wants to keep in their own head office, they can take it, but not in our own premises. I'm not going through all these things. This is the latest one of that Express Pearl, which happened in 2020. I'm just skipping certain slides. Entities. Now you have shipper and consignee, definitely for any cargo movement. After that, carrier is there. shipper, consignee, carrier, and the ports and terminals which load and discharge the cargo. In between, freight forwarders and all these people will come in, custom house broker, whatever it is. One question, how many of you are from freight forwarding companies? So many hands, okay. How many shippers are there? Any shipper? Exporter? Nobody. So other than freight forwarders, what is the role? So many this side, not freight forwarder? Custom broker. Any tank operator? I know there are 2 tank people sitting here. Other than that, ISO tank operators? Okay. Freight forwarders, a question for freight forwarders. Do you have any responsibility as per IMDG code? It is a shipper who classifies the cargo, the shipper who packs the cargo, the shipper who packs the container, it is a shipper who prepares the declaration, everything. Do you have any responsibility? Or it is just receive the safety data sheet without opening, forward it? Okay, as of now, you can be in your peaceful mind that no responsibilities, but time is not too far that one day one court of law might hold freight forwarder also equally responsible. 2012, there was an accident on one of the vessel, MSC Flaminia, wherein a tank operator, shipper approached a tank operator gave 3 empty tanks, and these empty tanks was filled with class 9 liquid. It got loaded on MSC Flaminia under deck, and it exploded in the middle of Atlantic. Chief officer and 2 of the crew members lost their lives, and vessel was burning for more than a month out at sea. And after 5 years of deliberation, New York Circuit Court gave their verdict: 55% liability on the shipper, 45% liability on the tank operator. And tank operator means tank operator, freight forwarding, whatever, NVOC. Why they said that is tank operator or NVOC, whatever, you also receive the safety data sheet. Safety data sheet clearly states the dangerous properties of the chemicals, and you also failed to communicate that to the carrier. So since New York Circuit Court has given a verdict like that, it is open to challenge, but they have not challenged. They will not be challenging. Indian court also can follow that. So my advice to all freight forwarders and who are receiving safety data sheet from the shipper, open it, read it, understand the properties, communicate to the shipper for any clarification before forwarding to the carrier. I know that many of us do not read that, but anyway, we will learn from mistakes, but unfortunately these mistakes cost lives out at sea. Now you see, carriage of dangerous goods has various risks. Some of them are direct risks, some of them are indirect risks. Indirect risk is what you call negative publicity and claims, etc. Direct risk is always people's life, damage to marine environment and property. But still we have to transport dangerous goods. If we do not transport dangerous goods, we will not even have a chair to sit, because everything comes from these type of chemicals, etc. There are different regulations. Don't get alarmed about all these regulations. Depending on the mode of transport, there is a different regulation. So the first 3 or 4, road, rail, river, etc. That is international regulation for carriage of dangerous goods by road, rail, and river. Even though it is international, only some 56, 57 countries have adopted that. That is predominantly European countries. Recently, I think last month, Uganda adopted that. And you all know that air traffic is under IATA. Sea transport is IMDG code, International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code, and it has to be mandatory according to that. And just below that, you can see GHS. How many of you have heard about GHS? Anyone? Globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals. See, when you buy a deodorant, I am very sure that all of you might have brought deodorants. On the deodorant can, there is a small diamond-shaped red border with a flame inside that. Have you seen that? That is a GHS pictogram for flammable warning. Now, whether dangerous goods or not dangerous goods, the GHS pictogram will come there, and safety data sheet will be required depending on the hazard to the exposure to the personnel. And if it is dangerous goods, then IMDG code labels and proper shipping name and all those things will come. And many of the countries have already adopted GHS as a mandatory legislation. India is still deliberating because we are busy with cows and buffaloes. We don't have time for all these things. But once it is adopted, then safety data sheet will have to be prepared as per GHS. And India has some CMVR, Central Motor Vehicle Rule 1989, which talks about dangerous goods. My advice is don't read that, because whatever you know, you'll forget. I'm going to be very brute and harsh on this. I'm going to pick up all of our mistakes because I am a 30. This is my 32. I'm going to next year will be my 33rd year in shipping industry. So I know many things what is happening. 20 years in this IMDG code only. So sometimes when I am brutal and harsh, don't feel bad. I'm not pointing fingers to a particular person. Okay, this is the very basic cycle of shipping activities of dangerous goods. Manufacture, classify. Manufacture, classify means shipper has to classify whether dangerous or not. If it is dangerous, it has to be packed in packages. Then that packages must bear marks and labels. Then that packages will be placed inside a general purpose container, or the cargo will be filled inside a tank container. Then outside the container, placards and marks has to be affixed. Then prepare the transport document, submit to the carrier. Carrier will verify the transport document and reject or accept. Once it is accepted, local haulage will be there from the shipper's premise to the load port. Then from load port, the ship will be carriage by ship, that is loading onto the ship. That is also as per IMDG code. At the final discharge port, again, local haulage to the consignee. Consignee will empty the general purpose container or empty the tank. Tank will go for cleaning, and general purpose container also will be cleaned. And the hazardous warning signs and placards, everything will be removed. So right from the decision by the shipper, whether it is dangerous or not, till the consignee takes the cargo out and the cargo transport units are cleaned and all dangerous residues are removed, there are mandatory, recommendatory, and optional provisions in IMDG code. Recommendatory and optional is recommendatory and optional only, but mandatory has to be complied with. As I said about so many things, this hand sanitizer, flammable liquid, this is a corrosive liquid, this is also corrosive liquid, this is a flammable gas, this is a flammable liquid. This is substance liable to spontaneous combustion or self-heating substance, that is charcoal. Okay, what is copra, C-O-P-R-A? All of you know? C-O-P-R-A, copra, dried coconut? Don't know? Is it dangerous goods? Now, whenever I ask dangerous goods, you will say yes. Copra is also dangerous goods under class 4.2. IMDG code international regulations that I am skipping. Jeffrin already explained about 9 classes, but I'll just go through that. Okay, class 1, one example, seat belts and airbags. Most likely they fall under class 1.4G, otherwise class 9, any one of that. Seat belt means not the seat belt of Tata Nano, that is only for protecting you from the police penalty, nothing else. Forget about that. The other cars where airbags and seat belts are there, they are either class 1.4G explosives or it is class 9 miscellaneous dangerous goods. Class 2, etc., this Jeffrin has beautifully explained, so my life is easier. Class 2 example that he was telling about carbon dioxide, etc., carbon dioxide and helium, nitrogen. Now, nitrogen is a noble gas. It is not poisonous. It is not flammable. What is the danger of nitrogen? If it is not flammable, it is not poisonous. It can reduce the level of oxygen inside a shipping container. Or if it leaks, it can reduce the level of oxygen inside the cargo hold of a vessel. That is called oxygen depleted atmosphere. It is dangerous for the ship's personnel. Also, that is called asphyxiation, whatever. Those type of hazards are there. Flammable liquid, let me take you to, okay, before going to flammable liquid. These things, even though they contain gas, it is not considered as dangerous goods. Not only Coca-Cola, all carbonated beverages. Coca-Cola is good to mix with rum. That is only after 6 o'clock, not before that. Then balls intended for use in sports, like football, volleyball, etc. While talking about the sports ball, table tennis balls, that is class 4.1 flammable solids, TT balls. You all have played, no, some of you have played TT. What is the color of TT balls? Only orange or white? Yeah, as per the International Table Tennis Federation, it has to be either orange or white for the contrasting option, and it must be 2.7 grams. And if it is made of cellulose, then it is class 4.1 flammable solid. But there is a provision to exempt it from IMDG code depending on the net mass of the package. Similarly, electric lamps, the gas part inside the electric lamp is not dangerous, but if it is containing sodium, mercury, or any radioactive material, that part may be considered separately. We were talking about that nitrogen, about oxygen. We all breathe oxygen, not breathe oxygen, we breathe the air. And in that oxygen is 20.8%. So if the oxygen level goes below 19.5, then it is oxygen depleted atmosphere. And further below it goes, it can start impairing your judgment. You will make faulty judgment. People may fall unconscious, and less than to 11% is almost instant death. So many a time, especially in the winter months, you might read the news, especially in the northern plain of India, that people were found, entire family were found dead while sleeping. That is because one main reason is carbon monoxide, because they burn coal inside the bedroom and close the doors and windows, protecting themselves from the cold. And carbon monoxide is a silent killer. It does not have any smell. It does not, what you call, have any odor, nothing. So while burning the coal, carbon monoxide will be released. It will reduce the oxygen as well as it is poisonous. So people will die in that. Uh, Many people have lost their lives opening the container, import container. They just open the container and start walking inside. It should not be that way. First you should inspect the container from outside. You should put a restraining strap while opening the lock, because some cargo may fall out. So many things are there. So we can save lives if we follow the rules and regulations. You can see that animation, somebody squeezing something onto a burning candle and the flame is increasing. You all have squeezed that thing into each other's eyes during your childhood. Orange peel. Now, orange peel is not dangerous goods, orange is not dangerous goods, but if you extract that liquid from orange peel and put it in a bottle and transport it, then it is class 3 flammable liquid. That is extract flavoring liquid. You can buy from the supermarkets that pineapple flavor, vanilla flavor and all that while baking cakes. That is also dangerous goods. And Jeffrin has told what is flashpoint and all those things. Okay, what is flashpoint? I can just demonstrate. I hope there is no ultraviolet detecting smoke detectors here. When we light the lighter, why it is lighting? Because the temperature is above the flash point. If the temperature is below flash point, it will not light. Petrol we use in our bikes and cars. Petrol's flash point is minus 41 to minus 42, minus 43. So from that temperature onwards, petrol can catch fire. Girls, you must be using nail polish remover. That is acetone, flash point is minus 22. So from minus 22 onwards, it can start a fire. Nail polish is also same like that. He has explained what is packing group, so I'm skipping on that. Class 4. You can see different colors of flames, that is different metals burning. Lithium, strontium, sodium, copper, and potassium. You see this New Year, Christmas, and all these type of celebrations, Diwali, especially many people use fireworks. So some of the fireworks, blast with or burn with green color, blue color, orange color, white color. That is achieved by adding metal powders into it. If you add aluminum powder, bright white color will come. Metal powders are one of the most difficult fire to fight. The advice to ship's captain is, in case if metal powder is burning, let it burn, do not fight fire. Let that cargo burn and finish, only protect the other cargo. Because you cannot use water into metal powder. If you use water, it will aggravate the fire. You see, you take a piece of aluminum and take a file and file that aluminum, powder will start coming. If it is fine powder, you drop water on it, it will start burning. Because aluminum powder, if it comes in contact with water, it emits hydrogen, which is a highly flammable gas, and that is a exothermic reaction which will ignite the released gas. I hope I'll not press any wrong button. Okay. Then these type of substance which can start a fire through friction, safety matches, then which are readily combustible like camphor, cotton, all those things are there. Okay. Cow is very dangerous in India these days. So I'll not talk about cow. What about this? Is this dangerous? That is what this is carried here. This photo I took some 7-8 years before when I visited Agra. That is called hay, Hay. Hay is class 4.1. IMDG code says, in case if it is having moisture content greater than 13%, it must be refused from shipment. It must not be loaded on the ship. Because this hay, in case if it is wet, it will start self-heating and it can run into self-ignition. Same thing with cotton also. Wet cotton will run into self-ignition. Okay, I was talking about my dirty laundry in my suitcase there. That is a really dirty laundry, yeah? Because I was traveling in South Africa for 1 month. Last morning only I reached back. Dirty laundry. Is laundry dangerous? As I told you, my agenda is to make everything dangerous. Some of you might have, anybody had worked on board ship here? Or visited ship? Okay. Uh, in the 90s, now also sometimes very rarely I see that, in the 90s on many ships, there was an incident like washing machines start igniting on its own. Then they realized, because we all wear that overalls while working in the deck and engine room, etc. So this overall will be contaminated with oil, cotton overalls. Then we wash in the washing machine. The cotton dress, that make lint. So that lint will be contaminated with oil and it gets stuck inside the cotton washing machine. So after a period of time, there will be a lot of lint contaminated with oil. It will start self-heating and start a fire. So there are many, many probabilities for starting a fire. Okay, copra is here. So one copra in your kitchen, don't throw out today evening. It will not start a fire. It's a large amount of copra stored together for a longer period of time, like weeks and months. Then it will start a fire. This gentleman pouring fire out, that is called pyrophoric substance, pyrophoric liquid or gas. Pyrophoric means, pyro means fire in Greek. Pyrophoric means fire bearer. The moment it is exposed to air, it will start burning. So if it is in a bottle like this, it will be under nitrogen blanket. You open the bottle, it will start burning. And then there is no way to put off. It's very difficult to put off. There are ways. Any danger here? Now you will say yes. See, sunflower, mustard, groundnut, copra, all these things, they are all oil-bearing seeds from which we extract the oil for cooking purpose. After extracting the oil, the remaining thing, that is called seed cake made out of seeds, which is predominantly used as cattle feed because it contains high protein for the cattle and piggeries and all those things. That seed cake is class 4.2 self-eating substance. And I am very well aware, I will not take out anybody's name, I don't want to name and shame, that there are some shippers who are exporting hundreds of containers of seed cakes from India without declaring it as dangerous goods. Class 4.3, as Jeffrin has previously said, dangerous when wet. Like when we become wet, somebody throws water on you, you get angry. Same like that. But in this case, it emits flammable gas, and some of them will start fire on also. See, in class 4 is one of the complicated classes. Like 4.1 itself got flammable solid, self-reactive substance, polymerizing substance, solid explosives. So many things are in the class 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3. Now, here is the thing. The shipper has to have sufficient knowledge and skill to classify and assign the UN number. In case if the shipper does not have that, shipper must contact another competent person or a laboratory or somebody or a consultant to get it clarified. You cannot just Google and find out what is the UN number of this cargo. 5.1 and 5.2, as Jeffrin has already explained, so I'm just skipping on to that. These hair colors. Most of these hair colors are class 5.1 oxidizing solid or oxidizing liquid. But when we buy that from a cosmetic shop or a supermarket, we will not find the 5.1 label because that 5.1 label is for the transport workers. When we buy this hair color, we will find a A3 sheet folded into stamp size and placed inside as a warning thing in different language, which none of us read. We are supposed to read it for our own safety. Now, these hair colors 5.1, liquid or solid, if you mix with sugar, atta, maida like things, that mixture will be readily combustible or it can ignite or explode even with shock. Now, I'm not teaching you how to make explosives and throw at your neighbors, but that is a fact. This vessel, Charlotte Mers, 2010, I think June, July, that was my last couple of months when I was in Maersk Line. She had a powerful explosion while sailing off Malaysia. You can see the barbecue like smoke going up. And even Malaysian Navy's amphibious planes tried putting out the fire. Then Maersk Line, we brought in expert firefighters from Netherlands. They boarded the vessel. It took them another 1 week to stop the fire. So they brought in thermal imaging cameras for measuring the burning containers temperature. Some of the containers were burning with temperature in excess of 1000 degrees Celsius. Forget about firefighting, you cannot even go near to that. It all started from methyl ethyl ketone peroxide, MEKP container. And then it spread on to other containers, which was another 5.1 oxidizing. The issue with the oxidizing cargo 5.1 is, however you try to put off, it will still start igniting because it releases its own oxygen. So it sustains the combustion. Now, this gentleman, this is not his photograph, it is a painting. He died, actually, a couple of days only before was his death anniversary or birth anniversary, something. Paracelsus, his full name is one full sentence, I forgot. He said, all substances are poison, there is none which is not a poison. The right dose differentiate a poison from a remedy. Most of you must be going to these baristas and cafe coffee days and all that. Is the cafe coffee day still there or closed? Okay, barista, whatever it is. I never go there because I get confused. I don't know what is the name. I know only two coffees, coffee with milk and without milk, nothing else. Anyway, in that there is some tall mug, regular, short mug, etc. Now imagine if a person goes with his or her child, say a 6 years old or 7-year-old kid, and order 2 tall mugs. The parent also drinks 1 tall mug and the child also drinks. The child gets more caffeine than the parent. You know why? It is dosage against the body mass. So that is why children's medicines are, smaller thing, etc. Young age, whoever started drinking, you know that in 1 peg you are off. At the age of 50, after a bottle also you can walk. That is all, dosage against the body mass. I'm not going too much into this infectious substance and all that. Radioactive materials, as Jeffrin has said, cobalt and all that. These smoke detectors, I cannot find here. Some of the smoke detectors are radioactive element is there, americium something. So one smoke detector will not be class 7, but if you pack thousands of smoke detectors into a 40-foot container, the combined activity might trigger into making into consignment into a class 7. So it is activity level on the package and the activity level on the total consignment. Corrosive, Jeffrin has explained, and this product, what we do not read the label behind, I have enlarged it there. You can see a black hand that says, do not mix with bleach, may release harmful gases, chlorine. So remember this when washing the bathroom and toilet and all that. pH value, IMDG code never mentioned anything about pH value, but classification process, it is there. Anything below pH value 7 is acidic and above is basic. 7 is neutral, that is distilled water. Now, here you can see at the bottom, gastric acid. Gastric acid is the acid in your stomach. If you skip your breakfast, by lunchtime you can feel that your mouth is smelling. Actually, it's not your mouth smelling, it is a hydrochloric acid smell from your stomach. So when you are having acidity, you take that gelusil and whatever thing, that is basic. So basic with acidic will neutralize. That is good for in your stomach and all that. You will burp and you will sleep. But class 8 acid and alkali, if you load in the same container, if that packages come in contact with each other, the contents, it might result in explosion and fire aboard ship. So class 8 is one of the most common mistakes the consolidators does. They think that both are class 8, we can load them together. But one may be alkali, other may be acid. Class 9, there are various things, substance which can endanger health, that is asbestos. Asbestos can cause lung cancer. Then polymeric beads. Polymeric beads are plastic beads. If you burn them, it will just burn and melt and go. But if you load in a container and that container is exposed to sunlight, these polymeric beads will start evolving flammable vapor, that is hexane or heptane, which can result in explosion. So here you can see a 40-foot container. After the explosion, it became like a balloon container. On another ship, the polymeric beads exploded and the fire spread on to other containers. Then she has to call a port of refuge and take the harbor tug's assistance for firefighting. Waste. What is waste? Waste means anything which we are transporting for disposal or recycling. Now, this water bottle, after getting emptied, if you are sending them for disposal or recycle, this is also waste. But now this is not a hazardous waste. But your UPS battery, that is a lead acid battery, if you are transporting that as a waste, it will become a hazardous waste because class 8 sulfuric acid is there inside. Also, it will become Basel Convention regulated controlled waste because it is containing lead. So be careful whenever you are handling any waste cargo, export or import, because apart from IMDG code, Basel movement document also is required. That requires the Ministry of Environment's approval from all the transit countries, also the shipper to give a bank guarantees, etc. Who is responsible to decide what is dangerous, what is not dangerous? Manufacturer, shipper, carrier, forwarder, ports, terminal, freight forwarder? Manufacturer? From now onwards, delete that word from your mind. No more manufacturer. It is shipper. Now imagine, say you manufacture rat poison. Okay, you are manufacturing rat poison. You are not exporting anywhere. You are just selling it in Mumbai only. I come to you and buy 100 packets of rat poison, and I am shipping it out without declaring it as class 6.1 poison. Why should you be held responsible as a manufacturer? You don't have to be. It is the shipper. There is no word manufacturer in the IMDG code. Manufacturer may be the shipper themselves, or manufacturer may be a shipper may be manufacturer himself or herself, or shipper may be a trader, but the responsibility remains with the shipper. Package, Jeffrin has already explained, so I'm just skipping off the packages. Tank containers. Now, ISO, this is the ISO tank, what we call. Actually, all of them are UN portable tank, United Nations design, whatever criteria, portable tank. And we call that right-hand side one as UN ISO tank because it contains that 20-foot ISO framework. Now, tank, is there any tank? Okay, you both are there. Other than anybody handling tank shipments? Anybody else handle import, export and all that? Yeah. Now, tank is a specialized equipment. Most of the mistakes shippers does on the tank, apart from placarding and all that, is overfilling the tank. Tank has a rule for liquid cargo. It has to be either always filled above 80% or below 20%. Now, below 20%, nobody will fill. It will be always above 80%. In that above 80%, how much above 80%? There are two formulas that takes into consideration of the coefficient of thermal expansion of the liquid. How many of you have kept beer bottles in your freezer and realized it is broken? Nobody is raising their hands. Yeah, somebody raised. This type of bottle, if you keep inside your freezer, you will see that it will bulge out, correct? The water bottle will bulge out and it will not stand. Water is only one element. When the temperature goes below 4 to 0, it expands. All other elements, when the temperature goes down, it contracts, and when the temperature goes up, it expands. So what happens is that supposing if you fill 97% liquid in an ISO tank, and that tank is a transshipment in Dammam or Jeddah, where it is hot, and if the expansion ratio is from 97% to 102%, then it will overpressurize the tank barrel. Also, it might escape through if the man lids are not properly shut, it will escape through the man lids, or in case if the pressure goes above 4.4 bars, it will come out through the pressure relief device. 2 months ago, there was a case like that. From India, the export, some 4 or 5 tanks went to Jeddah or Dammam, and it started leaking because of the excessive filling. Jeffrin has explained all these package codes, so I'm just skipping that. Okay, who is responsible for the integrity of the packaging? What is written there? Package manufacturer, testing authority, or the shipper? Supposing a steel drum, most of you might have heard about IIP certificate and all that, correct? Indian Institute of Packaging certificate, all this. So, and similarly, like you know about the tank certificate. Now, tank certificate, some classification society has certified 2.5 years survey or 5 years inspection, whatever it is. Similarly, a drum or a box is certified. If the tank or the drum or the box leaks during transport, who is responsible? The manufacturer of the package or the IIP testing authority or the shipper? Now, that suitcase, it is manufactured by somebody, I don't know which brand and all that. If I am carrying something in that, some liquid, and if it leaks, who is responsible? That manufacturer of the suitcase or me? It is a shipper's responsibility. So don't think about the manufacturer and all those people. Hyundai Fortune, her name was, then she met an misfortune. Somewhere in 2007, explosion started with calcium hypochlorite, that is bleaching powder, and she was carrying large amount of fireworks container, which aggravated the damage. Marking and labeling. Now, many of us use the term sticker, hazardous sticker. Stop using that from today onwards. Once you step out from here, you must never use that. There are only two terms, labels and placards. Labels goes on the packages and placards goes on the container. Label is 100 into 100 millimeter size, placard is 250 into 250 millimeter size. Now you imagine somebody from, say, CFS or port calls you up and say CFS. CFS has that, packing and unpacking of container. Calls you up and say that sticker is missing. Which sticker? Sticker on the package or sticker on the container? Label means on the package, placard means on the container. Overpack. That overpack mark has to be placed only if the original marks and labels of the packages are not visible outside. So there are, say, 4 drums you palletize, then you shrink wrap it. Each individual drum must be marked and labeled. After the shrink wrapping, if the original marks and labels are reduced visibility or not visible, then repeat the marks and labels outside and further write the word overpack. Letters UN and the 4-digit must be at least 12 millimeter high font size. If the package is 30 kg or less, then it must be at least 6 millimeter high. There are so many things. Marine pollutant mark. This marine pollutant mark is not required if your package is less than 5 kg or less than 5 liters. If it is above 5 kg or 5 liters, then marine pollutant mark is required, provided that cargo is a marine pollutant. Limited quantity, as he was telling, it got certain exemptions from other provisions of IMDG code. So like small packages like nail polish, laboratory reagent chemicals, all those type of things can be transported as limited quantity and accepted quantities. Label, there is a specification for label. If you look at this 100 into 100 millimeter, actually all the labels are a square. 100 into 100 is a square, which is set at a 45-degree angle, then it will become a diamond shape. You can see a line running parallel at the edge of the label. So that line must be 5 millimeter inside from the border, and thickness of the line must be 2 millimeter. The symbol must be always in the upper half, and the class number must be at the bottom half. And I know some ports in India insist that class 4.2 is the red and white. The bottom corner, as per the all transport regulation, must read only 4. There are 2-3 terminals in India who insist the shipper, no, you have to display 4.2 there. Then shipper will replace it to 4.2 at the bottom corner. When this container goes to Europe, water police will seize that container and penalize the container for wrong placard. And that is because somebody in that ports have made a standard operating procedure, and as per him, it is 4.2 in the bottom corner. Nobody follows IMDG code, unfortunately. Durability. IMDG code says the labels, marks, and placards must be able to survive minimum 3 months immersion in seawater. That means if the container or package is gone into the sea, up to 3 months, if it is washes ashore or a salvage operator picks up or a fisherman's net catches it, the labels and marks and placards must be still visible and the color must be still there. It can little bit smudge away. Do you think this will survive 3 months? Forget 3 months in the sea water, it will not survive the road journey also. This is a red label. These photographs I took in Dadri, this is a red label, which because of the sunlight, it has become almost white. And I know certain shippers, I'm not telling geographical location, I can tell, Ahmedabad and Baroda and all that. They give 4 placards to the driver. and tell that, please fix it before entering Nhava Sheva. You know why? Because they don't have guarantee that from Ahmedabad to Nhava Sheva, that road journey, this sticker will, this placard will survive. Then how it will survive Nhava Sheva to New York? Not only that, so during that entire Ahmedabad or wherever, Dahej to Nhava Sheva, that entire journey, the container is not displaying any warning sign. It is a violation, not only a violation of the rule, it is, endangering people's life. More than legal obligation, we have a moral obligation. And moral obligation must always stand above legal things, which many of us unfortunately forgets. Again, there are rules for placarding and marking of cargo transport unit, when to display UN number, when not to display, etc. Multiple dangerous goods in a container, UN number must never be displayed. Single dangerous goods, if the cargo mass is greater than 4,000 kilogram, then UN number must be displayed. Fumigation warning sign, I know that many fumigated containers are also going without the warning sign. Fumigation warning sign is very, very important, especially when it is fumigated with methyl bromide, because methyl bromide does not have any odor, so it can endanger lives of people who are opening the containers, like either consignee, custom officers, border police, or cargo inspectors, etc. Dangerous goods declaration. Minimum required is 5 elements. All the cargo will not have 5 elements, but all of them will have 3 elements. That is UN number, proper shipping name, and class. Some of them may have subsidiary hazard and packing group also. So that 5 elements has to be declared in the dangerous goods declaration. After that, type of packaging, quantity per package, flashpoint, marine pollutant, waste, all those type of things will come. Whatever shipper writes in the declaration, like say for example, say JNPT, if a vessel is loading on this, today is what, Saturday, say Monday vessel is loading. If there are say 500 containers and 500 shippers of dangerous goods, so each shipper will give one dangerous goods declaration. So the carrier will get 500 declaration. Carrier will compile all that into one summary report, like an Excel sheet. Container number, booking number, UN number, all those things. That is called manifest, dangerous goods manifest. That is required as per IMO's FAL convention, FAL form 7. So captain of the ship will get the manifest. Many shipping companies give the entire dangerous goods list declarations also. So in that, the flashpoint, emergency response code, the type of cargo, type of package, all those things are there. So in case there is an emergency, captain can immediately initiate the emergency response. So it is very vital what shippers are filling up in the dangerous goods declaration, and what are the correct missing, all those type of things. Then quantity of the dangerous goods declaration, volume by mass, etc., etc. I'm skipping that, package description. Now you see shipper certification. When shipper signs a dangerous goods declaration, shipper certifies that I hereby declare that the contents of this consignment are fully and accurately described above by proper shipping name and are classified, packaged, marked, labeled, placarded, and are in all respects in proper condition for transport according to applicable international and national government regulations. Now, supposing if a shipper is exporting something from India to, I should not use the word export, transporting, because IMDG code is not interested in import and export, it is only transport. Say transporting something from India to US, dangerous goods. It has to be in accordance with the IMDG code, because IMDG code is the international regulation for transport of dangerous goods by sea. The moment the container discharged in the first US port, that must be in accordance with the Code of Federal Regulation Title number 49, which is a domestic regulation of dangerous goods transport within US. So the shipper, before transporting from here, must refer to that 49 CFR, and if it requires an additional placard or something else to be mentioned in the dangerous goods declaration, everything has to be complied before loading from the origin port. Otherwise, US Coast Guard will penalize. Now, US Coast Guard cannot penalize the shipper. Shipper may be sitting in some Hyderabad or Ludhiana somewhere. US Coast Guard will penalize the ship's captain, because ship's captain is not supposed to load anything which is not in compliance with the local and international regulations. So when supposing if the US Coast Guard penalizes $20,000, the ship's agent will pay that. Then the mistake will be corrected. Then the container will be moved to the consignee, and the ship also will sail out from there. Then the shipping company's claims department will recover that from the shipper. Many shippers are not even taking insurance also, forget about that. There are two signatures in the dangerous goods declaration. Right-hand side is the shipper's signature and left-hand side is a packer's signature. Now, you all are very familiar with the, excuse me, gentlemen, you did not give me juice. You know, you all are, I myself I feel like laughing. You all are familiar with the term stuffing of container? Yeah? Thank you. Stuffing of container, you all are familiar. Sometimes when you are going on holidays, you might be going on holidays or business trips, say 3 or 4 days, then you have to carry your suitcase, correct? Do you stuff your suitcase or pack your suitcase? So you pack your suitcase, but you stuff your container. Why that difference? See, stuffing your suitcase means you push everything, then you tell somebody to sit on the suitcase, then you lock it, correct? Packing means you arrange, first day's close, second day's close, etc., etc. Then if it is a trolley-like suitcase, the heavier items you will keep towards the wheel, so it will have the balance. That is called packing. We should not stuff a container. We must pack a container. Not that any haphazardly keep the cargo and put 2 nails on the floor and close the doors. That is not the way. We must pack the container. So the term is packing of cargo transport unit. So packer, who is responsible for packing of container, he or she must sign at the left-hand side. Now, ISO tanks, I'm using the word ISO tank, non-ISO tanks also. Tanks do not require a packing certificate because you are not packing anything. You are just pouring liquid inside or you are pouring solid inside or gas. But I can see many shippers in India sign that packer certificate also for ISO tank. They might be thinking, what, no, one signature column is there. If I miss, that carrier might reject. So they signed there and put 2, 3 chapas also. So that itself shows that he or she is having lack of knowledge or may not be trained. You see, we must not write anything additional. Similarly, in dangerous goods declaration, I have seen cargo name, sodium hydroxide. Proper shipping name, sodium hydroxide. Technical name, sodium hydroxide. That is actually prohibited by IMDG code. IMDG code specifically says information already provided must not be repeated. You know why it must not be repeated? Many of you might have done COVID tests in the last 2 years, at least once, correct? Now imagine COVID test when you give, you get only one sheet of paper, correct? Date, etc., positive or negative. Imagine they give you a 100-page document, COVID test. You have to keep reading your blood, sugar level, that, this, everything, and in between somewhere is that. How will you feel it? By seeing that only you'll panic, correct? Same way, if you keep writing additional information which is not required, during emergency, the emergency response people will waste their time reading through sodium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide. By the time the container will explode. So many people are not realizing. The thing is that supposing, like if we are sending, a child abroad alone, what all precautions we'll take? We'll check all the airlines, the visas, the food to be carried, the, weather there, warmer clothes, medicines. Forget about sending child. If we are traveling on our own, alone, all these things also we'll check. Then we'll carry our grandmother's pickles and teplas and faplas also, because that food we may not like. Similar way, we must consider about whether dangerous or non-dangerous cargoes also. Because cargo getting spoiled, say milk, if it gets spoiled, it is only economic loss. But a sulfuric acid leaks, not only cargo's economic loss, it can result in somebody dying, or it can result in unknown corrosion to the ship. Even it can, buckle the ship's cargo hatches. CTU code. How many of you have heard about CTU code? Not heard? You have heard. Good. One hand rose. CTU code is Cargo Transport Unit Code, which is published jointly by International Labour Organization, International Maritime Organization, and United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. It is a guidance for packing of cargo transport unit. Cargo transport unit includes containers, that is general purpose reefer, flat track, whatever, open top, and road vehicles and railway wagons. Also, it gives a guidance for those who unpack the containers, like consignees, and how to safely do that. It is a one book, some 200-300 pages. It is a very beautiful book. It is freely available to download. Also, there is a Wikipedia-like link. You can download it freely. You can just search UNECE CTU code in Google. The first link will be that only. You can download that. You see, these type of things, that is because of improper packing of containers. Now, if it is a non-dangerous cargo, it is only cargo damage. But sometimes still a person while opening the door, this drum may fall on his or her head and cause severe injury. So improperly packed containers can result in serious injury, even death. And an improperly packed dangerous goods container may result in various other dangerous situations aboard ships. Now, the CTU code is one book, and together with that, there is an informative material. Both of them you can download. You see, these are the certain consequences of badly packed cargo transport unit. Like goods falling out when you are opening the door, rail wagon. See, most of you must have traveled overnight train, correct? Somewhere. That passenger train which makes lot of noise when it is running. Even though it is making so much of hammering noise, still you sleep, correct? You can fall asleep. Why? But if your neighbor is fixing a washing room or a wash basin above your flat, you will make complaints. But in the noisy passenger train, which is making so much of noise, you can get sleep. Do you know why? Because the train's noise is in a similar rhythm. It becomes like a music to your ears. That is the same way when somebody is standing on the stage and lecturing you falling asleep. Because his or her way of talking is in the similar frequency and all those things. Now, in the cargo trains, when they do the shunting operation, they bang against each other. So palletized cargo can get damaged like this. Similarly, if two drums are kept next to each other, touching each other, the continuous vibration when the train is running, that hooves will keep rubbing against each other, it may result in cargo escaping. So a person who is packing a rail wagon and a person who is packing a road vehicle must have different skills to know that these type of what you call damages can happen depending on the mode of transport. These are all damaged packages. Condensation damages, many of you must be knowing that many of your shippers, consignees must have complained about condensation damage after the container reached the. Whoever wearing specs know that when you step out from air conditioned room outside, all fog comes on your specs. That is condensation. Now, especially west coast of India, we are having Mumbai, we are having high humidity. So when you pack a container and close the doors, you are actually trapping the humid air also inside. So when that container goes to, say, Mediterranean, you don't have to go up to northern Russia and all that. By the time it crosses Suez Canal, when the temperature goes down, dew drops will start appearing on the ceiling of the container and start falling onto the cargo, also on the side walls of the container. And it can result in cargo damage. So if it is fiberboard boxes, cartons on the floor, the fiberboard box may absorb that water, which will result in integrity losing and the stack will collapse. If it is a chemical which will react with dangerous water, it may start a fire. So there are moisture absorbents which can be stuck inside the container wall or hang it inside the lashing loops, lashing points, which can prevent those damages. You see here, sealing of the container, dew drops you can see. That is condensation. You know, the air conditioned room, suddenly with the AC stops, you can see the wetness on the walls. That's the same thing. See, these are all damages due to condensation. Dangerous and non-dangerous, mixed loading. Dangerous must be kept towards the door end for easy access quick access during emergency, if possible. This is a well-packed container. Cargo is very well secured, plastic pallets, and you can see a couple of wooden pieces nailed down on the container. The moment you use that wooden piece, that must meet that ISPM 15 standard. You all are aware about ISPM 15? International Phytosanitary Measures for the wooden packaging material. If it is not ISPM 15, again import country may reject the entire load also. Drums on the roll, it is prohibited by IMDG code. And India, there is no regulation only for road, so forget about that. India will keep it upside down also. And I can see many vehicles coming into CFS, the top layer drums will be like this. And that too, liquid dangerous goods. Proper weight distribution. Now you see, when the VGM came, everybody thought, okay, measure the weight, declare it, finished. No, forget about measuring the weight and declaring. If you are not distributed the weight correctly, then it can result in the cargo handling equipment collapsing and other damages, sidewall breaking and coming out, all those type of things. Talking about that, actually I used the wrong word. What is the difference between weight and mass? Weight and mass, what is the difference? Correct, thank you. You know, we don't say verified gross weight, we say verified gross mass, correct? Or all cargo declarations, the IMDG code, SOLAS, everything, they do not use the term weight because weight is the gravity acting on the mass. And mass never changes. Even if you go to moon also, your mass is same, but your weight will be less. Those who have gone on that giant wheel, you know that when it is coming down, you feel some butterflies coming out of your stomach. That is, you feel that weightlessness because you are going against the gravity. So if the mass is not evenly distributed, then it might result in cargo escaping through the floor of the container or even shifting and breaking the sidewalls and escaping. Solids over liquid, and different types of packages are being loaded one on top of each other. A timber sheet must be used that is distributing the mass and to prevent that packages, because in case if there is vibration, you can see the head of the drum will start damaging the fiberboard boxes. So some shippers, for that saving the 1,000 rupees, they don't use this. Then the entire consignment will be rejected. Proper handling equipment, pallets. Now, pallets also, there is a stack weight limit. If you ask the pallet provider, they can tell you whether 1 ton or 2 tons, etc. Now imagine if a pallet is weighing 50 kilogram, the empty pallet. On that you keep 4 drums of 250 kilogram each. So that is 4 drums will make 1,000 kilogram and the pallet is 150 kilogram, so 1,050 kilogram. On that pallet, you keep a similar pallet with 4 drums. So now the bottom pallet is holding 2,050 kilogram. Correct? So like if that bottom pallet cannot hold that much, the moment you pack the container, nothing might happen. But during the transit, it might get crushed, the bottom pallet. Then the orientation will shift. When the orientation shifts, extra pressure will be applied in certain points of the package. It might result in cargo escaping. See, these are all damages caused by pallets. You see, this is a reefer container packed with 3 tiers of plastic drums. You can see that plywood kept in between. That is for distributing the mass evenly, so the bottom tier packages will not get crushed. Damages caused by pallets. Damages caused by old nail remaining on the floor, because a previous shipper might have nailed down something. If you are not careful to remove that and inspect, you keep your package on that, then it might damage our package. These type of intermediate bulk containers are designed for stacking on each other. But if a different type of package is being stacked on top of this, then again timber sheet has to be used. I forgot her name. She was sailing in the Bay of Biscay, I think, between UK and France. And you can see, if you look carefully on the main deck, here there is a bend. Can you make out? Then finally she had a damage to her hull. All the officers and crew were rescued. Then they used explosives, detonators, etc., and parted the ship into 2. And they brought alongside and discharged all the containers. This was before that VGM rule came in. And they discharged all the on-deck, under-deck containers, etc. On deck, there were some 900 plus containers. Out of that, 600 plus had excess mass than what was declared by the shipper. So this was also one of the case study which was submitted to IMO to make that VGM mandatory. VGM became mandatory in 2016, I think, July 1st or something. I still remember in 2011 when I was speaking somewhere in Bombay, like this auditorium, I was warning the people that there is a rule going to come about VGM, all these things, why it is going like this. So everybody was falling asleep. Then suddenly when VGM came, they were telling that nobody informed us, how can you implement suddenly rules, etc. We have to keep reading. You know, we have to be one step ahead in the shipping. We have to know that what is going to come. We have to be prepared for that. Okay, these are all packaging and all these things. You can see here the steel coil has come out because excessive weight on a small area of the floor of the container. If you are loading high density cargo, you have to keep timber blocks to spread the weight mass evenly. Left hand side, the ice formed because the door gasket was improper or damaged. Gasket of the door of the container. Steel pipes. When the driver applied brake, you can see the steel pipes, how it came and pierced behind the carriage. Now, the person who is packing this, securing these steel pipes inside the container, if he or she has, envisaged what happens if the driver applies a hard braking, then the steel pipe will put excessive pressure on the end wall of the container. So let me keep 1 or 2 timber sheets. In that case, this would not have happened. So that is why it is very important, those who are packing the container must receive training in accordance with CTU code. So it went and pierced behind this, like this. I had another photograph, people pinned and died, which happened in Mangalore. I did not keep it here. Horror movie. This is not a horror movie. In that case, it was a flatbed 40-foot trailer on that steel pipes. Driver applied hard brake, and the steel pipes came through the windshield, pinning the driver and his assistant, instantly killing them. It took some 4 or 5 hours for the fire rescue and the police to retrieve the body, because heavy steel pipes it was. And I was feeling so sad, because in India, we do not respect drivers. Forget about respect drivers. Yeah? Forget about respecting, we don't even care about them. They are sitting outside and making chapati and eating tea, etc. But the moment somebody comes wearing a tie, we all salute them. That is our culture. And I'm going to be very harsh. See, the moment you start respecting and providing the drivers and those type of people, you will have a better industry and better safety. You cannot expect your driver to learn about the TREM card and UN number and proper shipping name when you don't provide him enough money to sustain his family. You are not providing him, forget about sustaining his family, en route you are not even providing him a proper place to stop and take rest where there is a bathing and toilet facility. If we are not providing all those things, how are we supposed to expect from our drivers to read the TREM card and operate the correct fire extinguisher? If I am a driver, I would have murdered I'm sorry to say that, murdered whoever gave me that such cargo and telling me such things. Because we are supposed to respect each other as a human being, not on the position of the person or how much money he or she is earning or what is their purchasing power. We don't care about the people. Actually, we don't care about lives also. So many accidents happened, 20 people died. Okay, 20 people died. Everybody forwarded through WhatsApp and finished. After that, anybody checks what happened and how it happened and how we can prevent? That is the issue. Okay, segregation. Sandoz port. A question to all of you. Supposing if a container is having some damage and through that the rainwater ended and your cargo, say your cargo was some tea leaves, it got damaged. You are the shipper. Who is responsible? Container operator, Maersk Line, HMM, who gave you that damaged container? Container operator gives you a container, correct? So supposing if the gasket is worn out and through that the water entered and your jeans and t-shirt cargo got damaged, can you claim from the container operator? You cannot. It is shipper's responsibility to have due diligence and check the equipment before accepting and packing the cargo. This accident happened because it was packed with bleaching powder. The container had a damage on the roof of the container ceiling. When it started raining, the rainwater entered and it exploded, resulting in Sandoz port shutting down for three days or something. Beirut explosion, all of you know, I don't have to talk much about that. Incompatible goods must be segregated from each other. Segregation means attaining certain distance. Now, I'm not going too in-depth into that. These are some statistics of certain countries who did random inspection on containers for non-compliance. Now, if you look here, this is old data. See, total units inspected, some 79,000. In that, unit with deficiencies, 66,000. Segregation, that is incompatible cargoes, were loaded in 82 containers. Now, these 79,000 containers, okay. Now, imagine 79,000 means, say, 80,000 UCATs. 80,000 containers can be carried by some 10 ships, roughly. Correct? In that 80 containers means each of the ship can have one container which is having incompatible cargo. If that runs into some incident out at sea, it can even burn down the entire ship. It will be goodbye to the officers, crew, and the vessel. So segregation is very, very important thing. There are so many rules in the segregation. It must not cause what you call dangerous reactions and release toxic gases, harmful substances, etc., etc. So I'm skipping on to segregation table. I'll come to that. Now these two cargoes, will you load them together? Consignee will get only one cargo, right? That too, little more fattened. Now what happens is that certain things we can know that, okay, these two things we cannot keep together. Say when you go to supermarket and buy something like, vegetables, groceries, and toiletries, you can see that supermarket person will put the toiletries in a separate bag. Notice segregation. That is for our safety. So in IMDG code, the segregation, when we say there is only one table, then it is very easy. The table is very easy, but actually the segregation is a very complicated thing. I'll not go so much complication into that. I'm just skipping to that. This is a table which Jeffrin was showing. Now, this table has the classes written vertically and horizontally, and intersecting columns 1, 2, 3, 4, and X. Now, none of these intersecting columns says you are permitted to load together. 1, 2, 3, and 4, there are rules away from separated by a complete compartment, that is a cargo hold of the ship, and separated longitudinally by a complete compartment of the ship, etc. X means you have to refer the dangerous goods list if there is any special segregation provision or not. So if there is any special segregation provision dangerous goods list, you follow that. If that is not there, then you may load. IMDG code never say you can load. It says may, option it is. Now, these many segregation groups are there. Acids, ammonium compounds, bromates, chlorates, chlorides, cyanides, etc., etc. Last one is alkali, 18 groups. Now, acids and alkali can never be mixed together. Similarly, acids and cyanides can never be loaded together because they will dangerously react with each other. Same thing with the powdered metals and lead and all with certain explosives, all those things. So, segregation provisions, apply that. First, look into the specific segregation provision, apply that. If that is not applicable, then look on carriers dangerous goods department. Actually, how it works normally, I'm telling normally, normal practice, you have 10 UN numbers, apply to the carrier. After 3 days, carrier will come back and say, out of these 10, 7 I can accept. Then you load these 7. That is not a consolidation business. Consolidation business means you consolidate, say, 10 or 20 or 100 UN numbers, you offer to the carrier. Carrier must accept that because you have not made any mistake in segregation. Not that you offer 20, carrier will come back and say 16, then you load that 16. Now you might, and carrier say, okay, we'll accept that 10. And something is wrong in the segregation, and it explodes and sinks the entire ship. Who will be held responsible? Consolidator. You remember that packer's signature on the left-hand side on the dangerous goods declaration? That is a consolidated packer. Packer's responsibility is segregation. Segregation is not carrier's responsibility. Why did carrier open a dangerous goods department? Why should carrier open a dangerous goods department? Because they do not have trust in shippers. And forwarders also. Let us be very clear. Because there are many shippers who will send a chemical name to the forwarder and say, please check whether this is dangerous goods. Forwarder will Google and say, yes, dangerous or not dangerous. And I know from my own experience, if you ask somebody a safety data sheet, they will send a safety data sheet. That will be the first or second search result in Google. They don't have their own safety data sheet. You see, all of you search in Google or Bing. How many times you have gone to second page, third page, fourth page and searched? If you are not happy with that, you change the search term. Nobody goes to the second page and third page and million pages. And I know one shipper who gave me a safety data sheet. He altered all his logo, everything. The last page disclaimer says, some Fisher Scientific Chemical New York district is not responsible for above content. Now, why should Fisher in New York should be responsible for something made in Bhopal? He does not even know how to forge a document. So consolidators, if there are consolidators, remember this. Segregation is consolidators' responsibility. Not freight forwarders, not carriers, not captains, nobody's. Court of law may tell the carrier that you were informed why you did not check it. They might decide. But if I am sitting in the judge's place, I'll squeeze the neck of the consolidator, saying that every week you are giving advertisement in Exim newspaper and attracting more shippers without checking segregation. That is a criminal law. To be very frank, this is criminal. Another thing, without driving license, if you drive and you knock a person on the door, on the road, and that person dies, what will be the consequence? Without driver's license, you are driving a vehicle and you kill somebody unintentionally in an accident. What will be the consequence? Behind bars? Without being trained in IMDG code, handling dangerous goods, and that dangerous goods runs into some consequence, is the same criminal offense. And in that criminal offense, not only who prepared that dangerous goods declaration or something, the responsible person of that department or the company also will be put behind bars or whatever thing. Unfortunately, I'm not telling fortunately, unfortunately in India, nobody is enforcing such law. Otherwise, many of us will be sitting together in Tihar jail. I'll be giving the lecture in the jail compound. No, this is a very serious thing because you see, what is that water bottle? This type of mineral water bottle, will you fill some toilet cleaning liquid inside and leave it in your house? You know that toilet cleaning liquid is a very bluish color liquid, correct? Which attracts the children to taste it. Will you leave it like this in your house where kids are there? No, because you care for your kids, correct? But a non-compliant package going into the container and to the different country, which might put somebody else's life in danger, it might even result their death, you don't care. Why like that? See, love and care is not for the known people. Love and care, knowing known people, loving and caring, that is the human trait it is. But we must care for the unknown people. In the transport industry, this container is going to be in contact with many unknown people, unknown nationality. We must learn to care for them. How to care for them? Be compliant to IMDG code and CTU code. It is simple. It's not a rocket science. You don't have to write love letter to them and good morning WhatsApp message also. Only follow IMDG code. Okay, I'm skipping these things. See, segregation codes I'm skipping. I'll take you to the vessel stowage. What happens when loaded on the ship? You see, if you are having supposing, say you offer a class 3 container and he offers a class 5.1 container, the segregation says it must be separated from each other, okay? Now, sometimes you might hear that your container is gated in, but at the end of the day, the vessel did not load, cut and run. They forget about this container. So you might scream, the shipper will pull his or her hair, all those things will happen. Why? Because, see, this class 3 flammable liquid, when we load on the ship, it must be separated from 5.1 containers, it must be separated from certain other containers. Also, it must not be loaded next to a live reefer. Say, India also has fruit season, that mango, grapes, etc. So large number of reefers will be exported. Reefers, they give priority because it is a time-sensitive cargo. So if a reefer is sitting in one slot, next slot you cannot load a class 3 flammable liquid with less than 23-degree flash point because that is an ignition source. So on the ship you can see horizontal, vertical, closed versus closed, open versus closed, athwart ship, etc. So the stowage planner checks the stowage under deck, on deck, clear of living quarters, clear of accommodation, clear of ignition sources, clear of sources of heat. So many things are there. So planning a container ship is like playing some 15 or 20 chessboards at the same time. You have to take into consideration of the port rotation, you have to take the consideration of the mass of the containers. Heavy containers must go towards the bottom of the ship, lighter ones on the top. And in that, dangerous goods, also the reefers are there, out of gauge cargo is there, empty containers are there, and also port rotation is there. So the planners plan in the optimum way to reduce the number of moves of the gantry, and whether number of moves reduced or not reduced, because per move is charged, the dangerous goods thing has to be correct. Now what happens is that the cargo hold of the ship is certified for certain classes of dangerous goods. When it comes to class 3 flammable liquid, it is certified either that cargo hold can accept below 23 degrees flash point or above 23 degree flash point. Supposing if a shipper is having a cargo of flash point, say minus 30 degrees Celsius, and shipper forgets to put that hyphen sign, then automatically it becomes plus 30 degrees Celsius. The carrier may load that container into a cargo hold which is not certified for below 23, and something happens and that fire or something, the whole liability will go on to that shipper. So just missing a hyphen can jeopardize people's life out at sea. So, it's a very serious thing it is. We have to be very, very careful while preparing the declarations and all that. There are hatchless container ships also. And you see here, this is the profile of a ship. This is a forward part of the ship and this is a behind part. And these are the dangerous goods, how it is being loaded. So you can see N written. So if this is one container and if it is separated from the rule, the next cargo cannot be loaded in any of these stacks. So just placing one container, all other non-compatible dangerous goods cannot go there. So there is a huge matrix-like thing it is. IMDG code has set out the rule. Softwares are there. Software will automatically position and planner will do here and there. But if the software makes a mistake, the court of law will tell that IMO did not ask you to use software. IMO asked you to look into the printed books of IMDG code. So we cannot say that software made an error. Like Excel sheet made a auto sum error. That is not acceptable. So I'm skipping on to this because you're not much into that. Now I want to point out something very important thing, that is difference between keeping and storage. We keep using the term, storage of cargo in the CFS, etc. Now actually you see CFS is actually a port. It is away from the where ships are coming. So you can consider CFS as a port itself, but the ships are not coming there. But the customs clearance and all those things are happening. In the old days, we used to call that dock stuffing and dock stripping, where the containers are packed and unpacked at the port itself. Now, all those things are happening in CFS. Ports do not store any cargo. Ports only keep the cargo for loading onto a ship within 1 or 2 days, or they keep the cargo which is discharged from the ship for the consignee to take away. We don't store ports. Storage means you keep it for an indefinite period of time. Like, warehouses are there for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years and all that. That is storage. So IMO has specifically highlighted the difference between keeping and storage. So this is a very important thing that Lebanese, Port of Beirut, what happened is that because they kept that cargo for 6-7 years. Same thing in the Bombay port, 2010, January or February, chlorine gas leakage, they kept it for 13 years. Transport regulation is not for storing the cargo. Transport regulation is only for transporting. During transport, 1 or 2 days or 4 days or 5 days, it might be kept in a port or somewhere for onward journey. We don't store the cargo. Segregation in port, there is a different segregation table in the recommendation of handling of dangerous goods and related activities in port areas published by IMO in 2007. Now here you see there is no class 1 explosives, there is no class 6.2 infectious substances, and there is no class 7 radioactive material. Because those items IMO has recommended only to be handled direct delivery, direct loading and direct discharge, not to be kept in the port. All other classes you can see S, A and 0. So this is a recommendation for the ports, which can be adopted by container freight stations also. Whether it is packages, trailers, etc. I had been to many container freight stations in India, and it is sad to see that without any regard for segregation, they are kept one on top of each other or next to each other, which is a highly dangerous practices. It is like, when you buy fireworks for festivals, whatever festival, yeah, Diwali or Christmas or New Year or birthday party or something. If you keep your fireworks, that whatever carton inside your kitchen, is it safe? No. So same like that, because that, the kitchen, there is a probability, okay, many of you may not be using kerosene stoves these days. It is all LPG. Some of you might be having or might have used in the old days kerosene stove. If there is a kerosene stove in your kitchen and LPG stove in your kitchen, which is more dangerous? Kerosene or LPG? LPG is definitely more dangerous. In case if it leaks, it can result in explosion. But probability of starting a fire is more with kerosene stove. Because in case if it stopples, kerosene can leak. Correct? So easily the fire will start. And many of I am not using us because I don't do that. Many of you may be doing, when you're leaving the house, you might keep a candle or some lamp burning or some incense stick burning to your gods and lords and all that. Then you lock the house and go. Don't do that thing. You know why? In case even if a lizard jumps over it and that lamp falls down, it can start a fire in the house. Recently there was a fire, recently means 2-3 months before, there was a fire in one of the houses in London. And the cause of the fire was why, the neighbor's house, the mirror, the sunlight shined through the neighbor's house mirror, which was in such a angle, young age we used to play with that magnifying glass burning the papers. Like that, the neighbor's house caught fire. So the London Fire Brigade told all the people that wherever you're having mirrors outside, which can reflect out, your sunlight to others' houses and all that, either change your mirrors or draw your curtain before you leaving the house. They care for, such things also. We'll be very happy that neighbor's house burned, nobody caught us. Okay, talking about that segregation in the container freight station, you see, packages, intermediate bulk containers, trailers, flat tracks, platform. You have to consider when it is a packages kept, say one truck delivers some 60 freight station. Then that drums to other unpackaged and that drums to the segregation. See, you keep next to each other, nothing will happen, provided if something goes wrong, that time the intensity of the fire may increase, or it might even result in explosion and huge losses. So that is why segregation is required. So container freight stations and warehouses can adopt what you call this segregation thing. And after that Beirut incident, some group of 4-5 experts groups, I forgot, one is ICHCA, they have published a warehousing guidelines for warehousing and checklist for warehousing, specifically for dangerous goods. Some of you might have got it from somewhere, otherwise I can share it through Srikant. And also, you all must be approximately knowing my name now. If you type my name with a .com, you can land up on my website. I've written more than 600, 700 articles about dangerous goods. Whatever I talked, I've written in detail there. And also there are checklists and dangerous goods checklists, container vehicle packing checklist, all those things I've uploaded there. You can use that. And there is a search box also, you can search and find out. But if I have made a mistake there and that vessel blows up, you cannot hold me responsible. Because in accordance with the IMDG code, you cannot tell that website, this website and all to the court of law. That is also there. It's all with disclaimer. You see, I hope that whatever I talked till now, I cannot, it's not that I cannot, we cannot learn so many things in 2.5 hours or 3 hours or something. But at least if you are alert tomorrow when you are handling, say Monday when you go back to office, at least if you are alert by knowing that, okay, these are the types of hazards, there are regulations for guidelines for packing of the container, etc., then you will be prompted to look out for those information and informing others also. So it is a very good practice, like especially in the dangerous goods. What I learned is that, supposing if you are working in an office, say 3 or 4 people are there, you learn something new in the dangerous goods, immediately you must teach others, other colleagues. So in your absence, they are also having that knowledge. Never think that, okay, I only know, I will grow up, next appraisal I will tell and I will become manager. Don't do that thing. That is bad. So, then everybody, nobody grows as an individual. As an organization grows together with that, individuals also grow. Nobody learned all this. I never learned IMDG code, just sitting inside my room smoking or vaping. I learned from others while sailing Albert Einstein or Isaac Newton, which we are not. So whatever we learn, share with others and ensure that others are also familiar with that. So in the transport chain, there will be more safety. Emergency response. Jeffrin was talking about that supplement contains emergency response. Now, you all know that, some of you must be knowing that carriers ask for an EMS code in the dangerous goods declaration, correct? Now, IMDG code does not say shipper has to write the EMS code in the dangerous goods declaration, but many of the carriers ask that. Shipper is supposed to be trained in IMDG code and have an IMDG code in the office, so shipper can always provide that. EMS code is a two groups, one starting with F and another starting with FS, Foxtrot and Sierra, for fire and spillage. And there is a medical first aid guide also in that supplement. In the old days means before year 2000, that is before 22 years, shippers were supposed to write the medical first aid guide table number. From the year 2000 onwards, shippers are not supposed to write that table number because that tables are gone from that medical first aid guide. Now medical first aid guide is something like a flow chart. Flow chart is like if somebody gets exposed to some chemical on board ship. Flow chart is like, is the person breathing? Yes, no. So no means then artificial respiration, all those things, CPR and all that. Yes means then like that. So in the flow chart, when they go, they reach to certain tables in the medical first aid guide. We are not supposed to provide any table. But there are still shippers who write some imaginary numbers there. And in the old days, Jeffrin was mentioning, the 4 or 5 volumes of IMDG code. In the old days, when I was sailing on board ship, the IMDG code number of pages used to run more than 15, 16,000. Those days, shippers were supposed to write the page number, 5,665 page number, etc. Latest IMDG code, that 1980s IMDG code. And when we tell them that this is wrong, they say that last 40 years I am doing this, who are you to teach me? That is the attitude. See, we must be ready to change. I know that it's very difficult to change, but if we don't change, it is okay for us, but we'll be putting somebody's life in misery. People may not die, but people may be grievously injured. Rest of the life, they may be lying there. So this IMDG code supplement don't use for your emergency response in container freight station or warehouses. You can use this ERG 2020 that is published by Pipeline and Hazardous Material Safety Administration, US. If you are on Android and iPhones, you can go to your Google Play or whatever Play Store and App Store and download ERG 2020. You search, you can download, punch in that 4-digit UN number or the chemical name. It will tell you how to fight fire, how to do the spillage control, what medical first aid has to be given, all those type of things. If you are into safety, if you are not into safety, don't advise anybody. That is the thing. And now I leave it open for questions. I hope I did not bore you and take you a lot of time. And is it the question answer session or tea break or whatever? I do not know. Question answer?
Yeah, we will go for questions.
Yeah. Okay. And if you do not have any questions, I have so many questions I can ask.
Chalo.
ये मेरे पास है और कौन सा No, they're not for the mic. Because, I need to pump in some nicotine. Some nicotine therapy.
they are back, you can ask them. Thank you. You can start asking the questions, please.
Okay, we'll have a question and answer, and let the experts discuss, help us in that. Sir, I want to ask, there is one particular specification that is mentioned on MSDS, something which is called in.
See, that is an EMS code. EMS stands for Emergency Response Measures for Ships Carrying Dangerous Goods. That is the full form of this EMS. It is two sets of code. One starts with letter F for Foxtrot. Other starts with letter S, Sierra or Singapore. So that is F is for fire, S is for spillage. So each UN number, 4-digit UN number, it is having that two sets of codes. So in case if the container is burning, if it is FQ, then captain will open the supplement of IMDG code. There will be a table how to fight the fire. No, some will be water reactive, some will be non-water reactive, like that. That is just two sets of code, EMS code.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you very much, sir. While explaining IMDG codes in class 9 miscellaneous, in the last line it has mentioned dry ice. So I just wanted to know why dry ice.
See, dry ice is carbon dioxide solid, correct? Now, some of the shippers, they use dry ice inside a general purpose. Solid carbon dioxide will turn into gaseous carbon dioxide, which will reduce the oxygen level inside the container, which is dangerous for people entering the container.
Okay.
That is why. So if it is in container as a coolant purpose, there is a separate requirement in IMDG code. Or if it is dry ice as a cargo, there is a separate requirement. That is because of reducing oxygen.
Okay, so is there any specification that we have to mention for dry ice, or do we have to notify anything about that
If
dry ice?
if the dry ice is used as a coolant inside a container, then outside the door of the container there is a warning sign to be affixed. A person drunk and fallen down, like not drunk actually, but that is my favorite word. Yeah, and
That's nice.
yeah, and the dry ice must be kept a minimum 30 centimeters away from the walls of the container, because dry ice is very cold. So when it comes in contact with the steel of the container, the steel will become brittle. So minimum 30 centimeters gap must be the, all those requirements are there. This is in chapter 5.5 of IMDG code.
Chapter
Chapter
5.5.
5.5.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, I wanted to some elaboration on the limited quantities.
See, limited quantity is actually limited quantity gives exemptions from certain other requirements of IMDG code. So, for example, a 200 liters drum of petrol and a half-liter bottle of petrol. Now, this 200-liter drum requires segregation from other cargo, all the marks and labels, placarding, stowage requirements, etc. But this half-liter bottle declared as limited quantity requires only limited quantity markings and the dangerous goods declaration, no segregation rules, etc. because it is a smaller package. So limited quantity is also dangerous goods, but it is like a not a lesser dangerous goods, but it gets exemptions from certain other provisions of IMDG code. From India, export of limited quantities are very less. Import you'll get more because we are not exporting fine chemicals and laboratory reagents, etc. Much. Most of our exports are bulk raw materials. So limited quantity can maximum package size must be 5 liters or 1 liter or 120 ml like that, lesser.
Robin, actually, you'll find this limited quantity more in the cases of sample shipments. It's very, very prominent there. But obviously, yeah, like he said, it's not that rampant or that, in a volume in compared to other countries. We'll normally import, then export. So the volume will be more on the import leg than the export leg.
Sir, hi sir, good afternoon. Sir, actually, I have a set of 4 questions if I'm allowed. But first thing, main importantly, I have to know the difference between a technical name and chemical name because I have seen many shippers providing the product name as technical name and shippers insist for a chemical name, but it doesn't matter whatever we give it, line accepts it as it is. So is there any relevance because in case of any emergency, do they refer to the technical name or chemical name?
See, IMDG code says, certain dangerous goods which are assigned with special provision 274, etc. must be, proper shipping name must be supplemented with technical name. Further, IMDG code says this technical name must be a recognized chemical name published in international chemical journals. Now, caustic soda. Okay, that is another name of caustic soda is, chemical name of caustic soda is, I think, sodium hydroxide or something. I'm not very good in chemistry. So you cannot write caustic soda or something or Dettol brand name. That is prohibited. So IMDG code uses the word technical name, not the chemical name. Technical name. And further it says that must be the name published in the chemical dictionaries. So you cannot use chemical formulas also there. It must be the name itself for the people to recognize. See, the beauty of IMDG code is that a highly technical person and a non-technical person also can understand and comply with that. I hope I made some sense.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And just one more question. I will complete with that. I have seen there is packing group ENA for UN 2794. I mean, there are certain UN numbers where packing group is mentioned as NA or nil. Why does it come out like that? Because all we handle is packing group 1, 2, and 3. But I'm always curious to know why it is NA. And I have also seen when we are declaring it in CMA, UN 2794, they are giving 2 options in this one, open transport units and closed units. So what is the difference between those? Transporting in open unit and closed units.
Yeah, see, packing group is not assigned for class 1 explosives, class 2 gases, 4.1 self-reactive, 5.2 organic peroxide, 6.2 infectious, and class 7 radioactive. These classes does not have packing group. Also, articles does not have packing group. Now your 2794 is batteries wet filled with acid, I believe. Now battery is an article. Articles does not have packing group. So it is not NA. In IMDG code, there is no packing group itself. So you can tell CMA that, it is what you call no packing group in IMDG code, not assigned. And that open or closed cargo transport unit they are asking, because in IMDG code there is a provision for stowage, difference is there. So closed cargo transport unit means a fully closed container. Open cargo transport unit means a flat rack or a open top container. So because of their doubt, they are asking, because system shows that whether it is open or closed.
While on the same topic of packing groups, there is one more common question which always comes in. Is the inner packing and outer packing to be mentioned on the IMDG declaration? Now, in the case it is cartons, the variation would be for what exactly it's, and when should it be mentioned?
Okay. The difference, firstly, between inner and outer is in the name. So when you open a container, what you see first, maybe a drum, or like I said, the overpack. Yeah. Okay. So that will normally be in that kind of a scenario. Or you have a drum that is there with an inner lining for something else, or maybe. So the inner packing need not have a sticker or any sort of further information. It's the outer one that it needs to have.
So any one is only the outer packing in case of cartons or something is accepted. You don't have to mention the inner packing.
Inner packing you can mention for package part of it in terms of like say 10 cartons with 500 pieces inside. Like the mobile scenario I told you?
Yes.
100 mobiles in one box. The same thing. So you can mention on that, the outer packing. So the person knows that what he's handling. No?
Okay. Because in case it's not there, it can be skipped. The inner packing part.
It can be, but better not to. No, better not to.
If, for example, a single unit, a single box in itself will have a cardboard packing of say 3 mm or 8 mm.
Okay.
Then how do I define the inner packing and outer packing?
So let's assume the same mobile scenario I told you.
No, in this case, there's only one unit. There's no 100 mobiles.
One in one, right?
One in one.
So no problem.
So no inner packing to be declared.
You can mention the same thing.
Same as above.
Yeah. But the outer is necessary.
Outer is necessary.
In case of dangerous cargoes.
Yeah. And talk. Anybody else?
Good evening, sir. My question is there any clause related to the MSDS validity?
You can sit and ask. You don't have to stand.
Thank you.
Only, you need not have to stand if somebody else is standing also. Anyway, see, first of all, it is not MSDS, it is SDS. Okay. That letter M is removed long back, almost 10, 12 years ago. It is now only safety data sheet, number one. Number two, IMDG code never mentions about safety data sheet. Only in one, as an option, one place IMDG code mentions safety data sheet as a source for information during emergency. That's all. Now coming to the question of the validity of the safety data sheet, that is your question. It got nothing to do with IMDG code. I believe Canada's, it's all individual countries' rules. Okay, safety data sheet, individual countries' rule. I believe Canada, it is 3 years validity. They have to revise it. And some other countries, most of the other countries are 5 years. Some countries are 3 years and most countries are 5 years. Now this MSDS is actually addressing the end users of that product. While addressing the end user, they also address all other people who may come in contact with the cargo, like emergency response people, then firefighters, medical practitioners who administer the first aid, all those type of things. That is the use of MSDS. So also we should also keep in mind, supposing if one product if we are sending to say Japan, and same product if we are sending to Spain, the safety data sheet may have differences according to the Spanish requirement and the Japanese requirement. So if you are dealing with shippers, you must communicate that to the shipper, revise the safety data sheet according to that destination country's rules. I hope I answered you.
Yes. But regarding India, if Canada is having 3 years validity period, then what about the India? Is it 5?
India, let me find out in that dark area whether something is written. Then I will communicate to you later.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Excuse me. So basically, dangerous goods is a municipal affair. So each local will have a different thing. Like Bombay or locally, we have it in classes of A, B, and C, and D. But internationally, we have 1 to 9. You go to Singapore, it's 1, 2, and 3. So it's like very simple. It's municipal affair. It's locally understood. So like asbestos, no? In our house, we have false ceilings. That's asbestos. So I should, it's class 9. But in US, it's has. They will not let it come in. So each country or each local is like, I consider fish as a veg, okay? But I don't think many of us will consider that. So it's a municipal affair to explain it out.
There are some carriers who are asking for CAS number, CAS, and the shippers are reluctant to give it.
CAS stands for Chemical Abstract Service, which is a register maintained in the United States. So tomorrow, if you make some new formula in chemical, you can register the in CAS number. You will get a CAS number. Even water, this water what we are drinking, that also has a CAS number.
Okay.
Now, IMDG code does not ask for CAS number. If carrier is asking, shipper is bound to provide that.
Correct.
So it is shipper's duty to provide that. Shipper cannot say that, no, I cannot provide. Now, certain safety data sheet like, for example, a perfume or something, deodorant safety data sheet, there may be 3 or 4 ingredients will be there. All the 3 or 4, they will write CAS number. And 5th or 6th, they will write non-hazardous without any CAS number. And percentage also, they will give a bracket, 50 to 60, 70 to 85 like that. Why they don't give that exact percentage and all the CAS numbers? Because then others can duplicate that.
Yeah, I copy it.
So there is something called confidentiality of business information, CBI in GHS. So that allows the shippers to withhold certain things. But as per IMDG code, if that is a hazardous thing, they have to provide it.
Yeah.
So it is shipper's responsibility to provide that.
Correct.
Now shipper cannot say IMDG code does not ask for CAS number, so I will not provide.
Yeah.
Carrier has the right to reject that.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Good evening, gentlemen. First of all, thank you. Thank you for such a wonderful insight. I just have a question for a carrier. You are both are from carrier line background. Why do carriers get paranoid when we ask for 5.1 hazardous, what you can say? You get very paranoid, actually. And is it a commercial call by you guys not to approve? Or is it only a safety aspect?
Okay, so I'll tell you a brief of my story. I was carrying 5.1. Every week, minimum 15 containers. During that time, even Maersk wasn't accepting. Maersk's maximum limit was 3 containers. I got in a fix when I shipped the same cargo to Australia. Because from Colombo, it was a different ship, and it was a shipping bill of 10 containers. And every time it was like, getting mixed, skipped out at Colombo. Reason is because onward ships don't have that acceptance. My ship has. So I have to wait 6 weeks for my ship to connect for me to go ahead. Reason is 5.1, is it ammonium nitrate mainly? Yeah.
Basically, we are Indian, so
Yeah,
we are
so
talking about
this problem would have been
hydrogen
mainly for-
peroxide.
yeah, so this problem will normally take place with ammonium nitrate. The reason is because it's a very good part, of bombs or detonators or things that blast open. So that becomes a thing behind the mind. So basically, when I started doing this, it was just when Kasab had invaded. So. So I had a lot of trouble with my Singapore office. I had a lot of trouble with my head office in Japan. And even worse was the customs. The clearing agent is going across, to sir, aap bhi aa jao, baat karne ke liye. Like, what will I explain to him if he can't understand what's written? So it's basically a point of you read and follow within limits. Finally, the vessel owner decides whether I'll carry it or not. So each vessel has a acceptance. Like, if I'm the vessel owner, I'll decide whether I should carry radioactive, or I have to carry explosive, or I have to carry 5.1. It'll be very clearly mentioned out there. They have these in-house rules. Like maybe Maersk will accept, but MSC won't accept. Or CMA will ask, and then, one line will say, no, I don't want.
Some kind of a percentage basis the tonnage of the vessel. Basically, you're calculating on that much. 15 TUs in one big vessel, or 5 TUs only of
Yeah, there is a
5.1, that kind of a rule?
No, there's nothing that way, but it's basically more of a owner's perspective. So if I'm the actual owner of the vessel, I've given it on business to maybe ONE or to Maersk or MSC or Avana, whoever. It is purely my decision that I decide I don't want this cargoes on my vessel. Now,
basically, it's going to be a commercial call, I mean to say.
Yes,
because segregation-wise, sir has said, everything, all the safety aspects are in place.
Yeah, so
But still, it's basically a commercial call. You
So
can
I
say that.
carry class 1 also. But on that vessel, there's like maybe it's loading from Navashwa, reaching Colombo. That's it. No stopping in between. Point 1. Point 2, that will be the only cargo in the entire ship. So then I designate, okay, I want to carry only this cargo as a vessel owner. But as an owner, not as a charterer, not as a management company.
So basically, it's the owner's call, not even the charter's call.
Charterer has nothing to do with this. He can only beg for him. Like, no,
Okay.
sir, give me 5 more containers on.
Fine.
That's what he can do. But that will be in terms of tonnage again, not in terms of containers.
Thank you so much.
This is related to the same question. There are some carriers who consider some cargo as HAZ even though it's non-HAZ due to some historic events. Like I had faced an incident where sodium silicate was considered as HAZ in some carrier, whereas it's actually a non-HAZ cargo.
Okay. You've heard of this, I'm sorry if my Hindi is bad. That no, you think twice even with cold water when you get burnt with hot water.
दूध का जला छाछ भी
that's
फूक
the
फूक
one,
कर
that's the
पीता है.
one. Yeah. So it's purely from there. But if you try to challenge it, I face the same thing. Okay, I face the same thing. That's how I made it from 1 container of 10 containers per vessel of 5.1 this way.
But
But my owners were scared of it.
What is the purpose of the IMDG code if someone personally can feel something is HAZ even though it's non-HAZ?
Then I think they need to visit a doctor actually.
Yeah, I was confused because they can even charge us saying that, this is HAZ. They can charge us some $100 or $200 more.
Like I told you, like for example, asbestos, no? Like India doesn't consider it as HAZ. We'll be sleeping below it.
Okay.
But the same thing you do in US, there'll be like 10 suits and then you'll be sued all over like $1 million, $2 million. It'll just go on. So it's basically a municipal affair. We come back to the same point.
Is the carrier's discretion if the cargo is a HAZ or non-HAZ cargo?
No, carrier cannot decide that. It is IMDG code's
Exactly.
classification criteria. But I know what the question what you asked. Some of the carriers, you see, when we say carriers like Maersk, Hapag-Lloyd, that is, whichever company name, end of the day, we are dealing with a particular person sitting behind a desk. It all depends upon that person's understanding also. First, you're not directly contacting the hazardous cargo department. You're contacting the booking office. And the booking office, traditionally, they will be sitting with some standard operating procedure. And somebody might have, the previous person might have written their sodium silicate is hazardous something. And the next person will keep following that. So there you get stuck. You will not go beyond that because if you reach up to the hazardous cargo desk, they will accept it, but you cannot reach there. And that 5.1 you are asking about that, say bleaching border. Bleaching border, the freight rate earned on a bleaching border, even with the hazardous cargo surcharge, and in case if it blasts and bring down the entire ship, the losses is hugely disproportional from the freight rate earned. So many carriers have burned their fingers with calcium hypochlorite like Hans in Pennsylvania and that, Hyundai Fortune and I think CMA CGM Jakarta. So many vessels have burned in the past. So they don't want to accept it these days. So, but there I disagree with the carriers because if the carriers prohibit certain cargo, if we prohibit, we encourage misdeclaration and non-declaration, falsifying. So there, I urge the carriers, okay, hazardous surcharge and certain conditions, like PNI Club's recommendation about carriage of calcium hypochlorite, etc., and allow the shippers to do that. Because if the market is having a demand, the supplier will find a way or other to reach that market, whether even by misdeclaring or even not declaring at all. So those type of things also creep in when it is entirely banned.
So one more question. Why do we need subclass or sub-risk type? Like for example, nitric acid has a sub-risk 5.1, and but we are still charged the surcharge as per the we as forwarders talk as surcharges because that's what we differentiate the classes. But in nitric acid, the class is actually class 8, but it's considered as 5.1. Or why do we need a sub-risk type?
See, in the case of nitric acid, the subsidiary hazard it is now, so it's not sub-risk. Subsidiary hazard 5.1 steps in when the certain concentration of nitric acid goes above, I think 55 or 60% something. Now, main hazard and subsidiary hazard. Okay, the carriers, how they impose a hazardous surcharge, whether on the both, considering both or only one or a UN number, that is depending on the carrier. I will not go much into that. I'm not giving out their secrets. But as for the safety reason, now imagine if one person is a murderer and a thief. His main class is murderer, subclass subsidiary assault is thief. The other person is only thief, his main class is only thief. Like that. So we have to consider both. Now flammable and toxic, like methyl alcohol. Ethyl alcohol is the one we drink. I don't know you, I drink. So ethyl alcohol is only class 3. Methyl alcohol is class 3 with subsidiary assault 6.1. It is also toxic, like that. So carrier surcharge is mainly on the hazardous class and the certain UN numbers. Then their salespeople and all those people know that, which is other lines are not accepting. Only I can accept, so impose more. Those type of things.
So do these things happen only in India, or is it like worldwide?
Everywhere.
So it's a standard, okay.
India is little more.
Good evening, sir. So same thing related to 5.1. Formaldehyde, one cargo is there. Recently, as a liner, we have declared as has, and shipper has provided as non-as declaration. So how could we is there any?
Speak in the way you're comfortable. Don't worry.
No worries. Is there any specifications that IMDG could say that this is has or this is non-has?
Yeah, that formaldehyde's case, actually I was looking for formaldehyde. Anyway, formaldehyde's case, there is some concentration of formaldehyde, above which it becomes hazardous, lesser than that, non-hazardous, something like that. I'm not very sure. Don't take my word. You'll have to look into the IMDG code. Same thing with hydrogen peroxide also, above certain percentage it is 5.1, below that it is not 5.1. Like hydrogen peroxide you can buy from the medical stores, for cleaning your toenails and all that. Hydrogen peroxide bottle you buy, that is 2% hydrogen peroxide, non-hazardous. So formaldehyde also something, the percentage of formaldehyde is there, I remember. So maybe because of that. So if you can show me the safety data something, I can find out.
Okay, sir.
I have a question. So let's say I have submitted a declaration, a DG declaration to Line, and Line, as you said, that they relay it to the approvers and then the approvers come back. So let's say, for example, like just taking a cue from the segregation screenshot, like, where you had mentioned that class 1, then there was two more classes which are not stored at the port, kept at the port. So let's say I have submitted like for nitric acid. Nitric acid is 5.1, if I'm not wrong, right? 8 with sub-risk type 5.1, whichever. But then it was there in the list of your the segregation.
Yeah.
So lines come back saying that this is supposed to be a direct delivery and all of that. So if I'm equipped to read the IMDG book, can I go back, share then this segregation list? Because I believe this is also there in the IMDG code, right? The segregation.
Yes, it is there.
So if I go back to them, am I like, will they give me that thing, or will they approve that basis that, like, for the stowage or whatever on the port? I'm just asking because I'm not sure.
See, direct delivery, direct discharge, all those type of things, that is decided by the port.
Okay, so again, it's
got nothing to
liner
do with the
discretion.
IMDG code.
Okay.
Now the carriers are okay if they can keep for 10 days and make more money. That is okay. But certain cargoes they will not keep because they want to get rid of the hazard. Ports decide whether it is direct delivery or not. Like certain ports will decide, this cargo, this class or this UNM must be direct delivery. Direct delivery means consignee must take the customs clearance first before the vessel's arrival, and the truck must be there ready, and the gantry will discharge onto the truck, and the truck will drive away. That is a port's decision. Nothing to do with carrier.
No, then it has been observed that when we do the same cargo via different lines, this doesn't happen. So it's just my
that may be carriers, carriers own what you call in-house rules will be there, because carrier, when they take it out, or they will require a place to keep the container, so they may not be having. So that also they will do.
So one more quick question. So if I were to I have an inquiry for a consolidation hazardous cargo. So how do I go about it? Like, because see, as a forwarder, I wouldn't know. So my only role will be here to float. I mean, give it out to the different lines and ask them if they can co-load or they can, you know. So how do I make use of the IMDG book in such a case? Like,
What I'll suggest is, first point you need to see whether they can be kept together by looking at the segregation table. But still, after looking at the segregation table, go back to the same UN numbers and see any other special provisions are there or any other special instructions towards that. It might be an X in the blue, but it's always better to go UN number wise.
so I can do it like if I'm like, you know, equipped or trained to read the IMDG code. So I can do it myself, or is it that again
More than
carrier
getting
specific?
trained, you need to know how to interpret it and use it.
Yeah, the interpretation is what I
Because
meant.
there's a difference between being equipped to read it and interpreting it and using it there. Because I had one case, I wish it never happens to anyone. Like, there was in the same container, there was an acid and an alkali. And out of good luck or bad luck, I don't know, it got shut out on the previous ship because you didn't get the container in time. It's a console box. Got shut out. My girl was working below me. She sent it again. So she sent using my signature. So trade desk was, they said, okay, I approve it. My trade desk approving, when it goes to the partner's vessel, he's disapproving it. Till it happened about 2-3 days this way. Then I got into it, went to each side, and then I realized what happened. Which basically I cannot keep that in the same container. My luck was good. Maybe God still, thinks about me. It didn't have any sort of problem. It went on the next ship that was there. But that's like a direct delivery we're talking about. It got off at Colombo port and on the trailer and out of the port straight. And I was following up with this through the entire passage, which was about 48 to say 72 hours roughly. Constant touch. So it's purely about interpreting it. So it's probably, like you're saying, there's a possibility maybe carrier A will say, this is under my DG acceptance list. Carrier B will say, no, this is prohibited mere liye. There's no logic to say that, no, you have to accept it.
Okay.
Because he's carrying it. Because he's got crew online, he's got to manage the environment, all those kind of issues. So he's going to bother over his seat first, and then he'll look at your cargo. For that $100 or $200 or $500 margin, he's not going to waste his time.
Sorry, sir, taking a lot of your time.
We'll
Continuing this question.
We'll take a last question now.
There might be some cargoes that cannot be transported with other cargoes. Like we have a recent inquiry for HYP going along with acetic acid and sodium sulfate. And these cargoes, I don't think all these three can be transported together. Like in some cases, in such cargoes which cannot go together with some other cargoes, we cannot consolidate it. It's the same shipper again. It's not like different shippers. So how do we send this, for example, 5 tons of hydrogen peroxide, it cannot be sent by air, or it has to go in containers. How do we send that small, not a full quantity, but it cannot go with other cargo?
Different containers.
So you let the container go empty?
Suppose if you're having, say, 3 cargoes, all 3 are mutually incompatible, and you want to transport it by sea, use 3 containers.
How do we pack when there's a lot of space left in the container?
You keep the cargo towards the center of the unit.
Okay.
And block brace lashing.
So then it still follows the standard CTU guidelines, right?
Yeah. Okay. If you remember, there was one slide with only 4 drums on a pallet in the middle of the container, something like that. So towards the center of the container, the weight will go and lash it and choke it, whatever it is, and it can be.
And to add to the last point of your question, Shashi sir had already mentioned it during his presentation. Freight forwarders currently are exempt. They will surely be getting responsible for it.
See, there was one slide of Shashi where he showed the lion and the sheep. The question was, can you transport them together? So if you look at it in a legal point of view, you can, provided you put them in cages. But if you put them open, they'll meet each other and then there's disaster for one at least, if not all. So it's basically trying to know which is compatible and which is not compatible. Like you maybe in school, you sat in the classroom. Now you had your own group of friends and you had a group that you didn't talk to. Like the Dushman gang. That's what you do. You don't sit next to them. You sit the opposite side or you don't sit in the same class. You try to avoid. The same thing happens here also. But this is a sure-shot accident if it happens. That may not be an accident.
Good evening, sir. I just want to know about the IIP certificate validation. Like now, the hazardous cargo is filled in drums, plastic drums. So I just want to know the validation for the packaging because whenever the shipper takes, it's for 3 years or 4 years. So I just want to know about the validation is for the packaging material or the certificate is for what?
Okay, I'll be very, very candid and blatant.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, if I have to be a neutral answer, it's purely for money for IIP. Yeah, because nobody actually does the actual test on those packages. That's the ground fact. That's actually the ground fact. It's written over there that they have that saying that this thing has gone through this kind of drop pressure. You think that same package you're going to use stuff your cargo in?
Okay, as per the latest regulations, IIP certificate validation is for 1 year and you have to renew it again and again.
So we will end.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll just add one more thing. You see, this is my blog site, my name only. As I was telling that I've written so many articles, etc. You can see, in case, let me come down. I'll just show you something which is useful for all of you. I hope my voice can reach at the back. See, you can see these menus, from knowledge center, accidents, EMS, classification. In classification, certain lithium batteries, etc., dangerous goods declaration, misdeclaration, so many topics are there. And also, if you go into this search box, and somebody was asking something about formaldehyde, something, FORMAL. Internet is slow, otherwise whatever you type, in case if I have written, it will come out. And there is also one article like today, when you submit a request to carrier, you do not know what carrier does for next 2 days, correct? After 2 days, 3 days only, it comes back. So there is an article like, see, there is something formaldehyde and toothpaste and all I have written. I write about toothpaste also. There is an article about how shipping lines accepts dangerous goods. When you submit the booking to the shipping line, their hazardous cargo department, what all things they check. Also, there is an article about reason for rejections by carriers. There is some 20-25 reasons I've written down. Like, wrong technical name, missing flashpoint, incorrect packing group, etc., etc. So those articles may be informative for you to know that what is happening behind their screen behind their curtains when you submit the request. Knowing others' work nature will assist you. Even you can convince your shipper also why it takes 2 days and 3 days to get a hazardous cargo approval, because certain UN numbers require all the wayports approval. So when the carrier sends the emails to the wayports, that port person may be sleeping that time because, change of difference in time zone. So then once they reply, all the ports reply, then only the carrier can release the equipment and give a confirmed booking. So it is not like going to Make My Trip and booking a hotel. It is dangerous goods. So we need to have that thing. So those things you can pick up from here. And use this website also, this IMDG calculators here. There you can use for calculating the maximum permissible volume of cargo in ISO tanks. Also lithium batteries. I was showing, mobile phone and vapors and all those things. If you know the milliampere hour and the voltage, you can calculate the watt hour rating and see whether it is class 9 or not class 9 and all those things. And there are various other checklists and all those things for downloading. Utilize this free of charge, no money to be paid. That is also very important.
And the website is shashikallada.com.
Yeah, my name only. Yeah. Just add one .com. If you keep visiting, I earn money, that is a different thing. More visitors, more money. More money, more honey.
Thank you, Mr. Shashi and Mr. Jeffrin, for the great interactive session. We would like to call upon stage Mr. Shrikant to have few words on transportation. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirav. And I would like to just say 2 points. One is Shashi sir has given an excellent presentation, which allows us to say everything in our house is dangerous goods. So start practicing, you become better DG handling person. And he also mentioned about those 2 drivers who lost their lives because of the pipes. And drivers' lives are important. And EIC is the first organization, we call it club. During COVID lockdown, nearly 2,000 plus drivers were stuck at Nhava Sheva. And they were not getting in food to eat. They could not cook. Their rations were over. EIC took up that initiative, and thank you all the members for contributing towards it. We, myself, Shambhu, and Lingraj and Nikhil handled the collections and managing the reports, etc. We literally got food packets, rice, dal, vegetables, oil, packed into each driver and delivered to all the drivers in all the parking plazas who were stuck consistently for 1.5 months. Because 1 meal packet is equal to 3 meals. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mr. Shrikant. I would like to, we would like to felicitate our chief guest, our speakers and the sponsors. I would like to call upon stage Captain Somraj for felicitation. Captain, please. Captain Somraj joined Maritime Training Institute in the year 1990 as a cadet. He has sailed on various vessels. Captain also commanded tankers and bulk carriers. He joined Shore Office in the year 2007 as Marine Superintendent. Captain also worked in safety and audit, took over as a principal of this institute from June 2021. So Captain is the principal of Maritime Training Institute. Thank you, Captain. I would like to call upon stage Mr. Shrikant to hand over the trophy and few gifts to the Captain. Thank you. Captain, would you like to say a few words?
So if they don't feel bored, I'm not a good speaker.
Please,
just few words.
Thank you, Captain.
Because these 2 gentlemen have spoken very well. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will take your around 5 minutes, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, I think enough for me, so that you may be feeling some hungry also. Okay, so I don't want. So what they have said, they have sensitized you, what you have to do and what you don't have to do. You cannot gain knowledge in this, what rightly Mr. Shashi has told, that you cannot gain knowledge in 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I have been studying, for many years. Now also I am studying. I have to do many courses, like for teaching and for simulator operation, which I have been doing, but I have to be certified for that. So it's my humble request, when you recruit someone, you must brief him, induct him, carry out the induction training, not only on papers, Mostly it happens on papers. It should be with due diligence, and I can assure you, because I have been working in safety also for 3 years, I know if you do something with due diligence, you can change the things. Okay, first time you may not like it, but slowly when you feel that, I would have done this, saved, like so many accidents have taken place. So from there you can put the positive note. And also, it's my humble request that he also mentioned that no, some people use the old publications and all. Please validate, like no, when we seafarers, our certificate is valid only for 5 years. We have got certificate of competency, which is valid only for 5 years. After that, again, you have to validate yourself. You have to do revalidation course. You have to go through all the training, many things. Then only your certificate will be again endorsed for 5 years. You can work. Then, like many accident and drivers are not knowing those things. No, I some humble request like no near the port area, no, which many companies nowadays corporate do as a CSR. So put some sticker which are like no user friendly for hazardous cargo. This can happen, that can happen, so that no the awareness is more. Even in some public place also, which you find like no the cargo is being stuffed or being taken out, like no you have got many places, CFS or whatever you say that. So there, if you put something, I think there will be improvement. Awareness and validation makes a lot of difference. Very short. Why I was staying here till it's not that no, because I was cadet of this institute and now I have become the principal. So it's my like no, I put around 16 hours. I'm staying in campus. I put around 16 hours a day for my institute. Nobody says this, nobody asks from me, but because I think that no, when I know something, I should share so that no, the others also improve. So many of you may be having good knowledge, very good knowledge. Please keep on sharing. It does not see education business like no when knowledge sharing does not share your business. Okay, so this is the only money or wealth which will flourish when you start sharing or giving to someone. Thank you very much and take care. I wish you good luck because you are handling hazardous cargo. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Thanks a lot. See you. I would like to call Mr. Shashi, please, and Mr. Anand to felicitate. Thank you, sir.
I have just one request to make. I would like all core team to accompany me because it's all their effort. I'm sitting in Pune and I'm just on call with them. So all core committee, please come on a stage. Nirav, you have to lead this.
Thank you.
It looks very easy, but from last 3 weeks, they are giving almost 3 hours every day after their job is over. So I think they deserve a big round of applause from all of us.
Come.
I would like to call Mr. Jeffrin, please, on stage. I would like to call team leader logistics. Any representative from team leader? Please come on stage. Team leader. Sheetal, can you just hand over a small memento for the team leader logistics, our gold partner? Thank you. Round of applause. Thank you, team leader. I would like to call Vishal Shipping. Rashmi, Akshay. Of course. Lata, I would like you to give the token of appreciation to Vishal Shipping, please. Thank you.
Director also want to join.
Ved Universal, our silver partner, Mr. Sanjay and team. Swati, I would like you to present the token of appreciation to Ved Universal, please. Divakar. Hello, sir. Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Sanjay. I would like to call Galaxy Freight. Dibakar, please. Thank you. Next, I would like to call GRT Ship Management. Anyone? Next, Corvette Shipping. Okay, Mr. Shrikant will accept on behalf of GRT Ship Management. Rajnish is not there. Yeah, Dibakar, please. Siddharth, yeah. Corvette Shipping, anyone? Yeah. Siddharth, I would like you to hand over the token of thanks, please. Last but not least, Navio Shipping. Swati is there and Nikhil. Yeah, Nikhil, please. Uh, I would like to call Mr. Viren Dayal. Few words on the training part, what he conducts basically. Thank you. Round of applause for him, please. Anything, two words about your training, what you got?
Actually a surprise for me.
It's a surprise. Please, sir, do the honor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. By profession, I'm a custom broker. But my area of expertise or hobby has been in imparting detailed knowledge on customs law, applied rules and regulations. And I have the privilege of teaching customs law for the past 22 years, where I started with the Bruhan Mumbai Custom Broker Association. And now I teach in other institutes like JBS Academy and the Exim Institute Mumbai, as well as the Exim Institute of Mr. Velraj in Chennai. This has been a complete surprise for me, organizers, that you have told me to speak a few words. So any of you who want to know anything more on customs law, rules, applied regulations, both from the practical side and even from the theory side, because I teach in absolute detail each every section, each every provision, you're most welcome. Thank you.
I would like to call Mr. Nimesh ji to hand over the token of thanks to Mr. Viren, please. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, once again, I thank you all for your attention. Have a great evening and weekend. Shabak hai and goodbye. And we have arranged high tea. Okay, just 2 minutes walk from here. Okay, so it's a very good menu. Basically, you can have this thing. And kindly do not forget to take your certificate from the registration desk outside. Thank you. Everyone?
Everyone, call them.
Uh,
For the registration desk.